And by the way, Jay, I'm 1000% a Dale guy. I don't know how I don't know where you stand on Chippendale, but I'm a Dale guy for sure.
I mean, I'm Chip.
This is the Imperial Squadron podcast. I'm Josh Folan.
And I'm Jay Baxtron.
And we are going to be bullshitting about the formative years of console gaming as we revisit the periodicals that covered it again. We just finished up watching Epic Double Dare on Nick and are launching into a mag up here. We'll be rifling through Nintendo Power issue 14. You can find the issue on archive.org if you want to look at the shit we're looking at. I'll drop the link to the show notes drop it in the show notes as I always do. Please rate and review the podcast on whatever podcast platform you listen to us on. It makes us feel really great and like we're doing a good job, and everyone needs that in life.
Yeah.
What are we jamming on now? Jay, what are you jamming on now?
Halo Infinite, of course. I finally finished the campaign. Very satisfying. I won't spoil it. It's a great game. Absolutely loved it. And now I'm just, going through the map, checking off the little boxes, finding all the little trinkets to 100% it, but pretty much done with that game.
All the fucking power babies!
Gotta do it! And of course, still playing through the ranked multiplayer. I mean, it's a blast. It's my 15 minutes at a time kind of game. But after that, man, Space Invaders Infinity Gene. That's what you see behind me, the screenshot. I mean, we're talking Space Invaders, man. Like, this was an Xbox.
Is that
game.
actually a gameplay screenshot, or is that like a title thing there?
Yeah, no, this is a gameplay screenshot. And yeah, man, this is a Xbox Games with Gold free game. And I saw it, and of course, I loved playing Space Invaders as a kid on my Atari 2600. My mom would play with me. My aunt, who passed away, she would play with me. So for me, it's one of the earliest and fondest gaming memories. And, as somebody who completely missed the Xbox 360 generation, why not snag it for free, And it's fun, man. Like, it starts out very basic, like you would kind of expect Space Invaders to be. But the basic, it keeps that basic look, but then it expands. Like, you're able to get more powers. Like, the enemies come at you. Like, it's done in a very fun way, and it works. It's awesome. I'm loving it.
Cool. That's very cool. Yeah, that's one of the good ones for sure. That's one of the. I would play the shit out of that on Atari, just like, without all those bells and whistles, of course, and not think twice about it for sure. It's a great game.
Yeah, and then next, Beat Saber. I've had it for a while, of course, but I bought it for Courtney's Oculus as well, and so she hasn't gotten into it, but Zion has. So me and her play the multiplayer, and so it's really cool. Like, we're playing next to each other, but at the same time, like, within the game, she's kind of like diagonal from me, so I can see her and she can see me, and I don't know, it's just really fun. We're jamming. It's Beat Saber. Like, what can I say? You're playing it with a friend.
Still haven't played it, but I know.
Yeah, but yeah, man, that's pretty much it these days. What about you? What are you jamming on?
I got a nice little list this time around. The first thing I would bring up is Waltz of the Wizard. I think I was talking about just downloading it.
Yeah.
For our last game up, and I don't even know how to talk about this game, dude. It's mind-blowingly innovative. Like, just trying to. The idea, like, explaining it is exhausting of an idea. I'm not trying to do it. The idea of explaining it kind of tires me out a little bit. It's like
it looked cool though. The screenshot.
Yeah, there's so much you can do. There's so many spell mechanics that like involve you're manipulating items in your environment, and there's hand controller motion stuff, and there's even speech things like
So you're really involved, like you're actually physically doing all this. That's great. That sounds great, man.
It's so fucking cool of an idea. It's amazing, dude. Yeah, there was like one of the most recent things I learned going into one of the levels. You have to get, there's this motion where you like kind of just like you conjure your power. You kind of like pull the environment to you, and then it conjures energy in between your hands. And there's a lot of that's kind of like a step one thing. And there's a lot of things you can do from that. You can change it into lightning by doing a rubbing motion, and then you get a couple lightning shots you can throw, or you can kind of do this. I don't even like that's the thing. I've played it quite a bit, and like there's things I still don't I like because it's not an exact thing, you know. Like there's a little bit of just kind of human error and just I don't know fluidity to it where like I don't know exactly how to do some of the stuff I'm doing. I'm just kind of like in the vicinity of, which I don't know, maybe you could maybe construe as frustration, like control frustration or control issues, but it because of what it feels right even when it's wrong, you know, because of, I don't know, just the way the whole thing flows. But anyways, yeah, there's another thing you can do where you can kind of like, I don't know, you like kind of compress it a little bit or something, and it turns into this magnetic energy that will like, because a lot of the enemies are mechanical that you encounter, so like you can it's like this magnetic energy that you can throw at them, and it like just fucking causes chaos in there for them, you know, and they fucking fly around and smash into each other and shit. It's fucking amazing. So whatever, so there's, you know, you can start that, and then but there's one I just learned where you do that, you start the you get the energy in your hands, and then you yell in, like you literally hold it up to your mouth like real life, you know, in front of your, and you yell into it, and it creates this sonic attack, the sonic sound attack, you know. It's yeah, again, it's just so innovative and such a cool idea and so fucking amazing. But it is a lot, dude. Like my fucking arms, I think I told you guys in the group chat, like my fucking arms get tired. Like I feel drained, physically drained sometimes if they're playing for just, you know, 20, 30 minutes in the main game where you're really hustling to deal with environmental dangers and stuff. So yeah, it's not like, I don't know if you could fucking play it for like really long periods of time. No, and honestly, when I get to the rest of this, like, I don't know if I'd want to either, because like as great as it is, as innovative as it is, it's not finished. It's not it's not a polished product yet, unfortunately. But ton of going on, and it's fucking absolutely beautiful. Like I posted that one video I think I sent to you guys, like the red sky where I was outside. You know, yeah, looks fucking great. Really well done world that it all happens in.
Have you seen the show Magicians?
I have not.
So it's basically like I used to think of it as like real life, if it happened in America, Harry Potter. Like there's a school and people are learning spells, you know, but like you have to be magically adept to even get invited to know that this school exists, you know what I mean? And but so it's this huge, I don't know, 6-season thing. I highly recommend it. But the whole thing is like,
it's a scripted
scripted series, like very, very good, and it's dark, you know, whereas like Harry Potter is like has some dark moments. This is like much more like, hey, shit's happened, drug dealers happen, and like magic. It's great. But the whole thing about it is everything is hand motions. Like, so when they're practicing magic, like nobody's using wands like Harry Potter. It's like, it's all like hand stuff. And it reminds me of what you're doing in that game when you send me the video. And I'm like, oh, it's kind of like the Magicians. Like you gotta do certain hand motions and like things to make the spell work. And people were, you know, the students were getting frustrated learning them, trying to do this hard stuff, and it was, you know, difficult. And so when you showed me that, I'm like, dude, I'm in. I think I need to buy that game because it reminds me of that.
It's funny. Again, I just don't even know how to describe some of it. It's like, it is so, you know, it's so pinpoint exact at times, I guess. Not always. It's not, you know, not fucking impossible. But you know, it is like, you know, just moving your hand freely with no friction and like in a totally real way is a very inexact human behavior, and replicating it on demand, in repetition, in stressful situations is not fucking easy, man. And like you'd think it would be, but it's not. And it's funny how, I don't know, just kind of the human error element of it and how much you have to do to make this stuff happen in game is funny. It's a funny.
So basically, you cannot be a magician or a wizard in real life.
Probably not. I mean, I need more practice. Everything, you know, practice makes perfect, Jay. But yeah, so okay, so you know, like that's, you know, that's a very general explanation. So there's two parts to the game. Like you start the game and you're outside in this kind of black void. A wooded space, but it's still kind of a black void deal. And there's like a bulletin board where they kind of put like, you know, it's like they do it within it in the world of the game, but it's kind of just like development things and new features of the game, yada yada yada. And then there's two doors. One goes to the tower, the wizard tower. One goes to the courtyard, and the courtyard is where kind of you go into like the level by level part of the normal game. And then when it starts up, there's like a little what I equate it to Navi, like the fairy in Zelda. It's kind of like your little helper that will appear sometimes. He appears. It's just a skull, a human skull head that is animated. Oh. And he talks to you and kind of explains whatever, some new shit, maybe suggests something maybe you haven't done, or that maybe in the algorithm you're not doing behavior, whatever. He says some shit, tells you where you can go. He appears. So you can go into one of these two doors, and the wizard tower is... I would equate it to a sandbox where you can kind of just play and get acclimated with spellcasting and game mechanics. There's little challenges that can be done up there that you have to find them and kind of discover them within the environment. And this, like I said, it all happens in one relatively small room. But there's so much stuff in there. There's so many just gadgets and fucking things, whatever. So much shit going on. So you can go in there and you do these little. There's a few things you can find that take you out of that space too, and I guess do take you to somewhat of like a little mini quest thing where you're kind of learning something to a degree. But you can do all this stuff, and that is like a really built out thing that I'm guessing probably. I don't know. Well, that's a dumb conjecture. Who cares? I was going to say that probably was developed before the main game, but it doesn't matter. So it's really built out, and there's all these things you can learn there, and there's like a visual reference to help you kind of root it and retain what it is, and teach you, essentially. That's what it is. A teaching tool is really what this place is for. And the big problem is when you it even calls them two different kinds of magic. One's like the tower magic is called something, and then the stuff out in the world is called natural magic, and there's things you can't do. It's not like the voice recognition stuff. That's what I mean when they say you can see developmental things within the game, fabric of the game, They tell you like you can't, natural magic is not as dependent on the voice recognition or voice stuff. So, but like I said, there is a voice thing in the game now, so maybe that's like something they've just, I don't know, I have no idea. But it is
so they're
like,
in early stages of working it out, kind of like they're not.
Yeah, it's that. Well, the thing is, I'm pretty sure I was just, and I found this out by looking up another game that I got into here. Like, I think this has been out since the fucking thing dropped. Like, it's been out for a long time. So, but I mean, it is, it's not like it's dead. Like, things are still being updated. Like, it's changed since I got it. Okay. So, nice. They're still working on it. So it's not a dead stick, but it is, it's not done. I'm sure it's a small team, whatever. But there's no question deficiencies. But yeah, there's not a ton of carryover with what you learn in that tower and then actually playing the game. And that is a very frustrating thing. It gets a little frustrating because not all that functionality exists in the game, and that is kind of, it's rough. It's an annoying thing because what it creates is all this shit. Like I said, I don't even know within the confines of what is a much more limited control set and spell set in the level by level dungeon part. Like I have a hard time retaining even all that information. And then I've learned all this stuff, and I can practice all this stuff in the Wizard Tower that has no carryover for the most part. So like it's just a lot of shit. It's a lot of shit jumping around your head that like just doesn't feel good when you're actually playing the level by level part of the game. So yeah. So the other part is the courtyard area. You go out. There's like a teleportation ring out there that takes you into level by level dungeon crawl kind of thing. There's enemies. It's like very FPS type gameplay style.
That makes me much less excited about it. Like.
It's still good, and I mean, there's like I said, it's just there's the thing. Like maybe the hardest part about it is if the tower didn't exist, and then you just had the level by level part of the game, I think you wouldn't even think about. You'd be happy with what you have, So it's dumb that there's a cool, enjoyable part of the game that does exist. They've spent all this time on that is fun. That somehow creates, a dissatisfaction in you. It's a fucked up thing, I guess. Emotional response to what should just be two cool things, But yeah, I mean, it's only. I think I'm pretty sure it's only $20 too, so it's well worth the money, and it's really fucking interesting and fun. I look forward to a really completed product, because I think once all that stuff you can do in the tower to some degree or another exists in the game. And like, I get part of it too. Like some of the stuff you can do in the tower, if you could do it any time in the fucking main game, it would break the game. It wouldn't be any fun, because you can do some crazy shit. You can get giant. You can go you can go turn yourself into a little tiny fucking thing and everything looks huge, There's crazy ass projectile stuff that you can do. There's a whole bunch of really cool things. And that's the thing too. Like that's where they justified that some of the stuff requires these physical items that you have to use and combine. Like there's this in the tower. There's this, I don't know, a bowl or whatever you would call in the story world, a bowl of like this magical juice, and like some of the spell casting requires you to toss different things that are on the table and stuff into that. There's also a xylophone that you play, so the music, there's like a musical rhythm component to this to some degree that I imagine will eventually be worked into the game, because they wouldn't have this there if you whatever. So those certain musical things will create certain responses in the environment. So there's just so much that I understand would be really hard to account for in just traditional dungeon by dungeon gameplay. So that's probably part of it too. It may be not entirely just a developmental shortcoming, but I don't know. There's a lot there. It's really cool, really different, really interesting. Nothing like it I've played. It's fucking absolutely fun, and like just even I think $20, the sandbox would be worth $20. Like the tower, I think would be you could get people to pay for it and leave good reviews for $20. So it's no question, especially as much as you like that kind of stuff. I think you would fucking have a blast in it for sure. But the level by level thing gets a little tiring. I can only play like I've had it for a while now, and I think I'm at level 5. And part of that's hard too. You die. Like I'll die enough where I'm like, fuck this. I can't even fucking try that again. That's too frustrating. I got too far. So there's like that natural gameplay difficulty response too. But sometimes it's just like, it's like I just can't even think of what the hell. I just don't want to think about what I got to do to beat this.
Right.
So really fucking cool thing. Played a bunch of that. Next thing.
Wait a minute. So you got that for $20. You just reminded me something that I got for $20 that I completely forgot about because it's been a while.
What's that?
Miles Morales Spider-Man, like on PS4.
Yeah.
Dude, have you ever played this?
No, I told you you're never fucking gonna really fuck with it too much being on the PlayStation.
I completely forgot I bought it like at a super sale like during the holiday time. That game is great, man. Like
I hear those. I remember when that first came out. I think that's what I'm thinking of. Definitely a Spider-Man game. But I remember hearing that they had like people were really happy with. They nailed the whole thing about Spider-Man swinging through the buildings and shit.
Yeah,
that's
like
clearly
amazing.
Like that's what that game needs to be about. And I'd heard what I remember hearing was that it was the first time that someone's really nailed that, like the feeling you should have. I'm assuming the complete open world aspect of it, but still in a controlled enough way that you could control it. And that would be really cool. I'm sure. That was one of the things. Those Batman games on PS3. Arkham City and shit like that. That was one of the really cool things. Like they figured that out too, like a way to have these big sprawling urban environments with all this intricacy and detail, relatively speaking, and be done in a way that control wise was still enjoyable.
Yeah, and even the fighting though, man, it's like they really made Spider-Man's attacks so unique. Like when you play like Marvel's Avengers. Everybody has a different fighting style, but at a base level, it's still similar. Like, unless you're Iron Man and he's flying, but even still, some of the movements are the same. Whereas with Spider-Man, it's like he moves like you would expect Spider-Man to move, and just the story as well. Like, I'm loving it so far. I completely forgot about it because I don't play on my PS4 at all. Anymore. Like, why would I? But I forgot it was there, and something caused me to remember, and I was like, "Oh yeah, let me pick up that game," and I'm glad I did. But again, that's
kind of the next thing I have is kind of that same idea. Really, I was listening to the Kane and Rince pod, is a podcast let's do a bunch of, and they just did like 2 episodes back. They did Outer Wilds.
Okay.
So I started listening to it, and I only got a few minutes into it before I was like, "Oh yeah, that game is fucking incredible." And that's like, they're like, "Oh my, it's like I see what I was gaming." They're talking it up, and then they start getting into it, and they're like, it's basically, it's a spoiler podcast for sure, so like they started getting into it and I was like, oh, I cannot spoil that, like I can't do it. So I turned the fucking, I didn't listen to the damn episode, but I was like, well, is that back out yet? So I checked and checked to see, and it is on, it came back on a Game Pass in January. So I fired the Caveman game machine back up, and I've gotten back into it, and
nice.
It's it's a discovery game, and like I think, I don't know, maybe they even said it, I don't know, but it's the kind of thing where like I think back when it happened, when it went off Game Pass, I think I talked about this. I was like, it sucks because it's the kind of game that, it's all knowledge based. Your entire progression flowchart in the game is all just learning shit, and it goes into your log in your computer. Like the game functions. It's a like a 20-minute loop or something. You're in this time loop. So nothing you physically do means anything really. It's all about accumulating knowledge and figuring what's going on out. And fortuitously and conveniently for a video game, it stores that in your computer on your spaceship. So you take a long break from that and you come back into it, and it's just like you have no idea. There's nothing.
Yeah, what was
even
that
even the information that you have available to you in that computer is kind of meaningless to you. It's all like without any sort of recall of like actually getting there. It's kind of fucking just a blank slate, So it took some acclimation time, and I think I might even fired it up once and kind of looked around and like played for a few minutes, and I was like, I think I'm, I can't, like it might have been before bed, and I was like, I can't be tired and trying to do this. This won't work. So I turned off. But yeah, I have been able to get back into it and get grooving after a couple of hours of just kind of jamming on it and getting familiar again. So it did take some startup cost, but I was able to get back into it, and I'll keep like I'll keep bouncing in and out of it. I imagine it's not the kind of thing again like. Especially I'll sit here and play an entire game of Demio, and then like, oh, it'd be nice to play a little before bed. But like again, it's not the kind of game you can play tired. You got to be like sitting down with some fucking some
concentration,
some scoot in you to be able to fucking really take it on. So yeah, I imagine I'll bounce in and out of it, and hopefully I'd love to get there and finish it because it is such a great fucking game and just so beautiful and so fucking emotionally resonant. I mean, it's like almost to the tier of like Spiritfarer, of like the emotional effort, or put the effort put in towards emotional response. And like again, the fact that it's that fucking company, Annapurna, that's not surprising that they have almost like a cinematic approach to the storytelling. But
nice,
really good. So yeah, hopefully I can finish it before they rip it off Game Pass, and this was a concern when I was first googling it, my subscription on Game Pass ends, which I definitely won't renew. So
what? That's blasphemy. That is blasphemy.
I don't touch it. I don't touch the machine. There's no reason to pay for that. It's dumb. That was the thing. I was like, it didn't even like, to me, Game Pass was like, it didn't even cross my mind. Like it was like just part of the Xbox. Like I forgot that it's a subscription. So like I look on Game Pass and I see it's there. I'm like, oh, great. And I go over to the machine and I fire it up and I turn it on. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Do I even have Game Pass anymore? I don't even know. I want to say it, but I'm pretty sure it was like, I don't know, at least Q2 last year that I did that renew. Because it was like, I think I got like a 3-month or a 6-month free or something when I bought it or some shit. So when I actually bought that year, yeah, it had to be later in the year, I'm hoping. So we'll see. But
wait,
that would be a bummer to have it ripped for me twice. So okay, so there's that, and then I was also trolling the Oculus app, just like going through. What was it? Had I not gotten anything? Or I think I got like maybe tired of Waltz of the Wizard or something. So I was just like literally going through friends' achievements in the app to kind of like find something to play, basically. I was trying to find something to buy via that. So I'm going through the list, I'm not seeing anything, and then they also seed ads when you do that, which is clearly very smart of them, given what happens next. So I see an ad seeded in there, and I stumbled into this action puzzler. It's called Trover Saves the Universe, which I've probably seen before, but that's such like a meaningless... It's like that joke we had about you could order the words in any universe saved by... like, you could just do that with like just meaningless words. So... I'm sure I've seen it before, probably, and especially since I would later learn that it's been on the system since the fucker launched. Also, this was like one of their launch titles, and so yeah, I see that, and I'm like, I noticed that, which is also good marketing by them. I noticed that it says that was created by Justin Roiland, who I know because I love the fucking show so much, is one of the guys that created Rick and Morty on Adult Swim and then Solar Opposites on Hulu. And these are two of the best and funniest and most brilliant adult comedy animated series going on these days. So if you're not watching those, change your life and fucking go do that. But dude, I wish this fucking guy made all my video games, man. It's so fucking good and so fucking hysterical. And they just so encapsulated the brand of humor on those shows. Like, oh yeah, it's so fucking good. And like, yeah, I mean, if you watch those, like they're I don't know, man.
I actually don't watch either of those.
Those are so fucking good, dude. They're so good. They're so. It's like kind of like the reason I love BoJack so much. Like they explore adult themes so deeply and so intelligently within the confines of like kind of just a situational comedy styled show, you know? Like if you were too dumb to grasp what was being said to you, you could view which is, you know, that's what you want to do actually, so you catch the idiots and the smart people with your show. You want to make something that on the surface is just like glitzy enough and funny enough and kind of dumb enough to fucking just be mindless entertainment, but if you're really paying attention, there's some shit going on beneath it, you know what I mean? And they do a great job in both cases with that. But on that accord, like the writing in the game is absolutely fucking phenomenal, and the voice acting is of course top shelf too. They have basic, I mean, I didn't even know this, but googling around about it, Justin Roiland does the voices for both the main characters, Morty and Rick, and a bunch of others as well. So he's kind of almost like Mike Judgy, and that he can kind of he creates these shows, and he has enough voice acting versatility to voice like a fucking half the fucking characters on it, you know, with different actually sounding things. Okay. South Park guys too, they do that too, I think. Anyways,
yeah, that's true.
There's this. You have to really be thinking about it to even fucking, and certainly have seen the shows to even know what I'm talking about. But there's this dialogue delivery cadence they have in both shows. It's in the game too, where there's this stammer and indecision to most everything that is said. Like all the dialogue delivery has kind of like this. It starts off giving the impression that they don't know what they're going to say, you know? And I don't know, I want to say it's a subtle thing, but like it's every line almost has it. So it's not subtle, but it's not distracting or gimmicky enough to not feel like it's not subtle. So it's really fucking cool and really fucking smart. And it's an amazing comedic device that makes me personally, I mean, I can't speak for all of humanity, but it makes almost anything funny. You know, just like this, it's just really well done little fucking dialogue delivery thing. It's in the game too. And if you drizzle on the fact that the writing is both emotionally intelligent and humorous, without that device, you have some atomically good comedy potential on your hands, I think, you know. So it's, yeah, writing fucking really great. So all that said, I kind of expected the gameplay to be lacking because it's a licensed property. It's almost generic in its presentation. Trover saves the universe, and they're just like miscellaneous aliens and, you know, whatever, you know. It's just like, I don't know. It's just, I expected the gameplay to be not great, but it is fucking great. And like, so there's a complexity, like just the game design itself has like a layering to it that I've never seen before. Like your character who you control, they're called Chairlopians, and it's essentially a race of people that are kind of like exaggerated TV zombies who spend their lives confined to a chair and are what I perceive to be from the commentary, like, you know, it's like laziness and ineptitude of the human race. It's like a play on that kind of, you know. And so you control, like, that is who you are. And then you are paired in the beginning with another character. They're called an eye hole monster. And the way it works is you get like a little video game controller and you take control of him out in the world. So you spend the whole game from this kind of stationary thing and you control the character out in front of you. And there's all these chair teleportation stations throughout the stages. So you have to essentially run this guy you control, to the next teleportation station and teleport the Chairlopian to it. And then now you have a new vantage point on the world around you, and you're controlling the guy, and you work through the stages step by step that way, you know? And so, yeah, it's a really interesting thing. And at first too, I think I might even like when I first started, I was like, "Oh, this sucks." Like having this.
I'm like, that doesn't sound too fun.
No, dude, it's fucking great. It's so good. And then you get all these different things that change what you can do with the chair from that one position, changing your vantage points and manipulating the environment in different ways, and it's fucking great, dude. And yeah, so the character you control gets like a lightsaber essentially, and he becomes just like a melee tool to you, so it has that type of gameplay that is just kind of, I don't know, everyone loves that, I guess, just fucking beating things up and killing them,
Everyone loves a lightsaber. What do you mean? Come on.
Yeah, that's in there. There's sword play if you're into sword play. Yeah, I mean, it's just fucking, like, I could not put it down, dude. It's so, like, I laughed so much. Every piece of dialogue is just, like, there's just no, they didn't just fucking mail it in on anything. Every single little, like that screenshot I posted. Respect. So those are power babies. Those are like, that's like the completionist dumb thing you have to collect is these power babies, right? Yeah. And every single one of them has a unique piece of copy that at least made me smile if I didn't laugh. When you find them and you go to the menu and you can check every time. You have to hit a button to open that menu to see the copy that they made for it. That's not said to you in the game. So every time I found a power baby, and there were 30 per level, I would go to that menu and see what that fucking piece of copy said because I expected it to be funny. And that's amazing that I wanted to do that for every single one of them.
That is impressive. I sometimes fast forward past that stuff. You got
exactly right. No, but it's they didn't mail anything in comedy wise, and it's like all the effort in the world is there to keep you laughing and enjoying this. If you like this kind of comedy, and yeah, it's fucking great, man. But yeah, that's my only gripe is that I finished it in a few fucking days. I bought it Sunday night and I beat it late Tuesday night, and so like I said, I didn't put it down. It's definitely worth it. I think it was $30, so it's it's kind of a high water mark on as far as the cost goes, but it's totally fucking worth it. Again, if you watch those shows, which like Rick and Morty is fucking, I think it's done now. Even I think it's totally done, maybe, but it's definitely not. There's not new episodes coming out. Solar Opposites is also on hiatus right now, or they finished their season. So if you want more of this content, you haven't played this game. Oh my god, yes, it's like you must own it, let alone should own it. But it is, right. Yeah, it's a little short. I would guess, like I'm terrible at estimating playtime, but I would say maybe between 12 and 15 hours as far as the time I put in, which isn't for most of those games on the Oculus is not bad, with the kind of the long form games, getting 12 to 15 hours is not a bad value by any length, but it's not, if you play some of those fucking AAA titles, you're getting 60, 80, 100 hours, so it's nothing like that, but and that's not counting. So there's a little bit of completionist shit, those power babies left to go back and do, and I absolutely will do so. I've already started to actually, so there was maybe, I don't know, 30% left of those to go after I finish the main game, so there's like a little bit of stuff that's a little extra effort to go back and get. So that's cool and fucking amazing, and absolutely get it if you're into that stuff or those shows. And the last thing I would say, just yesterday or maybe a few days ago, a new Walkabout mini golf course dropped, and it's called Sweetopia, and I would say the theming is absolutely Candyland. The board game Candyland is what it is. It's all sweets and stuff, is it harder? Of course, amazing
as usual.
There are some things that yes. I mean, I don't know. It's not, I don't know.
Like, should I not go into that course? Should I not play that course?
Well, I told you should fucking max out. You should get all the balls and putters and stuff and play those the ones that come with it enough before you do so. Before you start getting these the three new ones: Babylon, Shangri-La, and now Sweetopia, because there's tons of content there, and those are, for the most part, generally speaking, certainly easier than these new ones. So I would absolutely get that value and experience before getting into these new ones. But I mean, the new ones are, there's no question that there's the newer ones, they put more, I don't know, more effort is, I don't want to undermine the effort that went into the first courses or the first 6 or whatever it is courses, 7, whatever it might be. But these are certainly, there's more to them. There's just more. So, but yeah, it's fucking great. I downloaded it yesterday, and I already before I went to bed last night had found all the balls, all 18 balls on the easy course and the putter on the hard course, because I just can't stop when it comes to that shit. So the only thing I had to look up So I didn't look up any of the balls, which made me feel pretty good because there's still like a few balls on the last two that I haven't gotten yet. On Shangri-La and Babylon, there's balls I don't have yet, and I don't want to look them up because I looked up a few balls to complete that first round of levels, because I just couldn't fucking find them, and I looked forever. And once I had gotten them all, and that was no longer an option to me, I was so sad. So like, I will never look up another ball again. Like, however long it takes me to find it, like, great. The longer that stuff's there for me to do, the better. So, but yeah, I didn't have to look up any shit to find the balls. I had to look up one clue on the putter, clue number 9. I actually tweeted him about this. Clue number 9 was a bit of a bitch. There was like this thing you had to, like, there's 4 cherries that can be seen in the map from like one particular vantage point, and I had found all 4 cherries, and like I went all over that map where I could see all 4 of them, and I could not find the fucking arrow, could find the little item you had to find, and I was just like, fuck, I spent probably 20 minutes on it, and I was like, what the fuck, man? Like, dinner's almost ready, I gotta figure this out. So I looked that one clue up, but that was the only thing I had to do to find the putter too. So pretty fucking cool. I recorded my first run through the easy course when I first fired it up, and you see all the ball hunting I did. I think I found 14 of them on that first time through, and I posted that. I got 2 hole-in-ones on my first time playing the course today. And that's nice. It's pretty fucking wild. I've played since, of course, and there is one hole of those 2 that I hole-in-one the first time that I have hole-in-one since, and it's probably somewhat replicable to be able to do that. Maybe not every time, but kind of close. So one of them is kind of, I think, a built-in possibility. But to have 2 of them in one time on the first time through is crazy. The other one was
impressive.
It was just a hole-in-one. So, yeah, fucking, I think that's not too fucking shabby. But yeah, that video's on our socials if you want to check that out. And, okay, let's talk about Nintendo Power.
That is the Leaf Town theme from Crystallis, bringing us in to Nintendo Power! Issue 14, let's go!
July, August, 1990.
I mean, come on.
It's funny to me, like, we obviously did not time this to be with any fucking current events or anything, but I guess there's a new fucking iteration of this coming out right now.
Yes.
Like, I keep seeing Rescue Rangers shit, and I'm like, I don't know. Like I said,
there's a movie. Have you seen the movie trailer?
No.
Oh, there's a movie coming out, and it's like, it's almost like there's a funny play on, like, one of them is still in that cartoon 1990s art, and the other one is like in the vein of Encanto or something currently, and he's like, right. Yo, why are you keeping it? I can't remember the exact line, but it's something like, I'm staying true to who I am or something. It's very funny, like in a very funny way. I can't wait to see it.
That's a cool idea. I'm so sick of the Hollywood nostalgia jerk off.
Yes, but again, and we talk about this every time. If it's done well, it's good. Like Cobra Kai. If it's done well, it's really good.
Yeah, okay. We shall see. Well, I don't know. You may see. I probably won't see, but that's a cool idea as far as that within that spectrum for sure. Yeah. So this Disney's Chippendale Rescue Rangers is the headliner here, and just as the September-October '89 DuckTales cover, we have like this Disney perfect illustration of Chippendale and their chief adversary in the cartoon, Fat Cat. And then also like the DuckTales cover, the visual style of everything else other than the officially licensed Disney characters has a very different feel to it. And it's like, it's not quite live action, but a completely different vibe of illustration. And I don't know, it's bizarre.
It's weird though. Like, it's like the contrast is fine, but what I don't understand is why Chip, I can't remember which is which. Dale in the Hawaiian shirt.
I believe Dale's the Hawaiian shirt. Yeah.
Yeah, Dale is like posing in the air though, so it's like they just took the officially licensed characters and was like, here, just copy paste somewhere. And
Exactly right. Yeah. These are the ones you can use. And like Nintendo Power had already devised the rest of it. And Disney was like, these are the only ones you can use. So they were just like, yep, okay.
Well, the cat has to be looking down. Therefore, what are we going to, where are we going to put him?
It's better than not putting him on the cover at all. Okay, fine. Yeah. So they're in a library, and you can see like a packed bookshelf in the background, and there's a lit light bulb really big in the foreground. The Chippendale you said they're falling, like I was saying, like thinking like bizarrely hovering in front of, and they're not. We'll see. It's so weird. So yeah, Chip is like he has
looks like he's falling.
Acid trails behind him, so he's like he looks like he's falling, and Dale looks like he's like just standing on something and presenting himself in some way. So yeah, there's like
he's like ta-da!
They're not. Yeah, I guess what we're getting at here is like even the two of them don't look like they're in the same scene or in the same situation.
Dale's breaking the fourth wall. He's like looking at us, like, "What up?
Right.
Here I am."
Right. Yeah. Good. Yeah, that's good. Good observation as well. But so, anyways, so we have that going on in the foreground, and then Fat Cat is reaching through a window in the background in a way that is completely nonsensical. If you look at it, like that's a multiple pane window that is clearly closed. So it's one of those windows where like, there's like some. It's like 4 different panels of glass, or I guess actually it would be 6. It looks like it's taller than 4, 2x2, but yeah, they're different panels of glass, and then you have like the little insulation things connecting them where like the panels of glass sit. So it can't, like one of those can't be open. You know what I mean? Like you can't only have one of those. Like either the window's all the way open or it's closed. So you wouldn't be able to reach through it if it's closed.
Unless he busted that pane. That one pane.
Right, I guess, but
that's the only logical thing to make this artwork.
Right, exactly. So he's reaching through one of the panes because his face is behind the paneling or the strips of insulation or whatever between the panes of glass, and then his hand is in front of the window jamb, the edge of the window, making it inside the room. So yeah, it's like it's physically impossible unless that pane of glass is completely missing. So either a really bad design choice or a really bad home ownership upkeep job by whoever owns the house that these guys are currently in, or doesn't work. Well, yeah. Whatevs though. It's just a Nintendo Power cover. Who cares? The bullet points on here are, and they complete it with a "Don't Miss" banner up top above them. There's Gogol 13, the MAFAT conspiracy, and this terrible fucking game will just not go away.
Why? Why are we still talking about it all the time?
Yeah, it's fucking everywhere. And then we have plus previews, Mission Impossible and Castlevania 3, woot. And then bonus contest, Final Fantasy Treasure Quest Part 2. Not Side Quest, Treasure Quest Part 2. And inside, we move on to a 2-banger Team Power pin subscribe ad and the table of contents. Before we get into Player's Pulse to talk mailbox. And the second letter from little 9-year-old Eric Rackley of Valdosta, Georgia, is an invention pitch. And his invention is to combat the pesky problem of NES controllers getting all tangled up on his floor, a problem that many peers and peer mothers have corroborated on being an issue. He's cooked up something called the Control Winder, and it is a box with a built-in automatic cord winder that he likens to a vacuum cleaner's auto retractor for the power cord. And I think that's a great, if you were trying to pitch this verbally to someone, especially back then, like that's a really great analogy, So
yeah.
Good job in both presentation and design. And Nintendo's response is they shoot it down and just suggest to go buy an NES satellite.
Of course. Like, wait a minute, kid. I feel like a game company like Microsoft or not Nintendo, maybe PlayStation nowadays would see that kid and be like, "Hey, let's work together. We'll license that bad boy. We'll give you 10% off the rip. Let's go. Let's make this." Nintendo would be like, "How dare you? How dare you send that to us? Like, do not even think about that. Like, it's crazy that they even posted it.
You could even market it. It would be a gangbusters marketing idea just to say that a kid fucking you could put that picture right there on the front of the box and people would just buy it because of that.
Yep, like that's smart, kid. That's a great idea. Like we all have cords. Like they're not addressing the issue. Like you want us to go spend money on a thing, but we already have the cords now. Like we just
right. Yeah. I'll tell you right now. I have an NES satellite sitting right over there. It's been pictured many times in my side quest pictures. There's still a cord, a long ass cord from the NES Advantage hanging out of it that I have to keep. I'm constantly tucking underneath the table, and I'm constantly worried about the dog ripping it off the table because that cord sits there. So like if I had a little, I would need a small one for this setup, but beggars can't be choosers, and sure, release different models, whatever. But if I had a little thing that could deal with that cord in some way where it would only come out when I needed it to pull the thing to me, I would 1000% have that cord off my floor right now. I would in a million right now, today, 2022, I would buy that fucking thing.
Correctly. I hope you are a millionaire with other great ideas because this was a winner back in the day.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. We didn't mention it, but yeah, if you look at the picture, he's got it's like, I don't know,
prototype, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm not buying that. Like there had to be some heavy parental involvement and guidance because it's a fantastic prototype mock-up that he has here. Like it's not like a 10-year-old kid or 9-year-old kid get out of dot. No fucking way that he cook all that up on his own. And if he did, holy shit, yeah, how is he not the guy that owns all the metaverse?
I need to look him up. I'm like, look him up on LinkedIn. What are you doing?
What are you up to, Eric? Let's fucking chat. We have this idea about what the fuck was it? Zoom in VR. We need to. Maybe you're the guy. Maybe you're the guy we need to talk to. Yeah. Moving on from that, we prompted by a letter about how an NES saved the sanity of a family displaced by Hurricane Hugo. They are doing a call for letters on the topic of worst Nintendo nightmare. And they are quick to clarify that they don't want actual nightmares like the hurricane one, but rather fun and funny things like your little sister turning on the power button and erasing your game, shit like that. So it's funny that they're doing like a themed call for letters now. I think it's the first time we've seen that.
It is.
But I believe that's it for letters. I have a video spotlight thing for sure, but as far as the letters go, there was nothing else that was really too interesting to me.
Except for the fact that we just skipped over the first one in which this dude said his best friend's name is Gary Batman. Like, I call BS. Like, Gary Batman, is that a nickname? He just kind of casually said it. Nintendo didn't respond to that. Like, what are we saying here? Your friend's name is Batman. That's his last name. I don't know.
Yeah. That's a good question. Yeah. I don't know. Look him up. Look when you're looking up Eric on LinkedIn. Find him too. What's his name?
Ben Clever. Let's see. Gary Batman exists.
Just check his mutual friends.
Right. To be continued.
His friends list. So moving into video spotlight, there it has a couple of power player pitches, 2 of them, and there's one that just warms my little cold dead heart, dude. Bob and Fran Hembry of Portland, Oregon, which, by the by, are the perfect names for the couple that should be writing this letter. Bob and Fran are spot on the characters for this. But they are an elderly couple that purchased an NES in an attempt to entertain their grandkids when they visit, which probably many a grandparent did. And it is working for that too. They're sure to point that out. But more importantly, they are absolutely fucking hooked themselves. So they play games like Zelda and Metal Gear, like long, like big games with a lot going on, and they take a long time to play, and they're only one player. So the way they do this together is one of them runs the controller, and the other draws maps and offers problem-solving support. So they're sitting there side by side playing this shit, one player at a time, passing the controller, drawing maps with each other and shit, and like, dude. I just fucking love the idea of an older couple sitting in the living room together doing this shit in 1990. I just fucking love it. And, I actually just posted those fucking Earth Cave maps, which I can't believe I did that to myself. It was so much work. But I just posted those Earth Cave maps from Final Fantasy and mentioned, look on the ISOH treasure trove, graph map treasure trove. It's a folder on Google on a Google Drive that I posted the link to, and in there is my Uncle Ted's maps, and the Wizardry maps is one of them. And the Wizardry maps, like him and my buddy Tony, or our buddy Tony, his buddy Tony, and they were probably, I'd guess they were probably in their early to mid 20s when they did this. Sat around, probably drinking and smoking on Friday nights, and played wizardry together, and one of them, Ted was sitting there drawing those maps, and Tony was fucking playing, and they were trying to solve that game together, And that's, like I said, an early 20th couple. The idea of an elderly couple sitting there doing that is fucking incredible. It's so fucking cool. And
that's awesome.
There's nothing that can there's no video game created today that can make that happen, and that is priceless value of these old games, So fucking cool. They do, though, sadly. I don't know if did you read the very end of it, Jay?
The very end.
The very end. They mention at the end that they intend to tackle Ultima next. Eek.
Oh my gosh.
I hope it didn't ruin their marriage or kill them.
I'm sorry. I wonder how that went down, Bob and Fran.
Yeah. It would be incredible. Like we've talked about a few times. Like, what's that fucking guy's name from GamePro? The guy that they keep trashing on because he wanted to get rid of the hints. What's his fucking name?
Oh man, I forgot.
Yeah. I forget his name too. But whatever. How we've talked about how essentially like the snail mail Twitter reply system. Like it would absolutely thrill me to 4 months from now see an update from them talking about how Ultima did some terrible thing to their life. I would love to read that in an upcoming issue, and I can only pray that that's the case because that would be incredible.
That would be great.
Right. So that's kind of it for Player's Pulse from my perspective. Unless you did you the other kid was just kind of a normal kid. I don't even have shit to talk about him. But you're definitely not winning over Bob and Fran, I'm afraid, this month. They're definitely the power player. You're not.
Gaming for everyone. Let's go,
yep.
Bob.
So the first thing in the actual mag is a 14 banger for Final Fantasy, and I believe that is a game feature page count record to date. 14 pages.
Dude, look at that. Look at that art.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Artwork-wise, throughout that, we're talking about the strategy guide now too, on that front with the side quest, and there's just the artwork. Everything they did for this is just so beautiful and so well done. And great.
Side note: I see this immediately, and I'm just like, look at these class change characters. I must find where this happens.
You still haven't done it? No, you still haven't done it? Oh my god, dude! It's not a lot of work at all. But yeah, I'm definitely just waiting for you guys now. That's like that was the impetus for starting the map thing, was just I wanted to do something with those characters. And they do, dude. Like, I am going through there.
It's different, completely different experience now.
Yeah, fucking wildly different in that, like, it's like I might as well be walking around outside Caneria, like the first castle. Like, as far as like the threat posed to me by the enemies and shit. Like, I don't even think about it, dude. Like, the battles are just map making interruptions in that, like, I am trying, I'm counting spaces and drawing, and then I get into a battle and I'm like, fuck. And like, I don't even look at what it is. I just hit A and make sure they're all assigned to a different fucking sprite, and then let it go back to mapping while the turn plays out. Like, I finished the map last night, and like, I haven't been able to do more than maybe like 1.5 floors at a time, because those floors, like 3 and 4 and 5 has a 2, I guess, where they're like, it's those little thin walls, so there's still a whole block, like, as far as like relative to your sprite, they still take up a whole block, but the way they look makes it a little harder to map, because you gotta like really fucking walk your guy and make sure you're not shorting or putting an extra square in what you're doing because of the way it looks, because they just don't look like full walls and full sprites. So like, it's just, it's just more work basically. So those are huge sprawling fucking levels, like so much work to do those. But anyways, I can only do like 1 or 1.5 at a time or something like that before I have to fucking just go back outside and turn it off. But a level and a half of that, and like, I'm everyone's max HP. They've lost like 7 HP after like, an hour and a half of playing like the game, walking around in battles, and they've lost like 7 HP or something.
That's crazy.
Yeah, no, they are so OP and so fucking like just decimating everything in this.
So it was worth it to go through all the pain, and I was like, that seems like you're not having fun. Why are you doing this?
No, that can be asked of many of the things I do, particularly video game related. But Yes. So yeah, the first 4 pages, yeah, it's like this. They have the beautiful title page here. With it's actually, I like that it's the very party Jab and I used to roll with as kids: fighter, black belt, black, and white mages. And there, yes, post class change. So you see their ladder visual look, and other than they got them even attacking is very cool too. You know, they're not just their standing sprites. They're like the white mages. You can see what's like a ruse, I think, spell or something like that. Some sort of defensive spell, and the black mage is casting fire, you know, so that's very cool. They spend 3 pages recapping things up through hitting Crescent Lake, so it's kind of like these very small blurbs, just catching you up. On last week on MacGyver. You know, is kind of what it is. So they then drop a 2-page map spread on us that is illustrated, but still to scale on a pixel to pixel grid basis, which is fucking awesome, dude. That I don't know, it's just a great mashup of art types, you know. It's really fucking cool. And then obviously still has the utility that you want, so it's fucking great. All the POIs are labeled, which is really nice, and they have a blurb laying out how vast the world is here on the left, in the left margin, and it's urging you to employ the pack-in maps that come with the game and Matoya's map spell to bring up the in-game map. And at the end of this, they tack on a tagline that I like a great deal before covering the different travel vessel options: ship, canoe, airship. They say that getting there is half the fun. True that. You know, it's a very applicable thing. Like that they dropped it there. And then they have 2 pages on Gurgu next with detailed maps and many words to live by that Jab and I consider old school RPG gospel. Don't waste magic. It's better to run. Carry a full supply of 99 heal potions, etc., etc. Things that we've probably said to you umpteen times since we started that side quest, or any of the side quests, you know, which is pretty fun. And then a single page on the ice cave. And then they have 4 pages on things that you and I decided to skip over, so they didn't soil the side quest adventure that we are currently on, because it's exactly what we're talking about doing here. So, did you remember to not look at those pages?
Yeah, I skipped over them.
Okay. Word.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the last thing they get to is a page on the second part of the Final Fantasy Treasure Quest contest they are staging. And the prizes available this time around are twofold. They're giving away 500 Final Fantasy Adventure Packs, each stuffed with treasure. That's the consolation prize, and they don't explain what treasure is, but it kind of just looks like swag. And then the Whopper here that they're giving away are 2 authentic suits of armor, and they're described as much fun as a stuffed armadillo, but stylish. So sadly, there are no Google returns of any kind whatsoever for either of these, and you know, as always, that kind of makes me question whether they were even given away, because I just don't see how someone doesn't say something about them or try to resell them or something at some point. And you know, everything's on the internet, so why is that not? But the only thing out there that I can find for any of the shit for these contest deals for Final Fantasy is that shit about the orb, one of the orbs that went up for sale like a decade ago on eBay. So that's only thing I can find, and that bums me out because I would so love to see those, of course. And the contest questions, only 2 of them this time. What is the name of the ex-mermaid? And no idea. I'm guessing she'll be found when we get to the water fiend part of the game, but yeah, I can't recall what that is. And then where do you find an inquisitive broom? And when I first was doing this, I hadn't done this side quest leg that I just did, so I had no idea what the fuck that was. Like, it's not referring to the brooms in Matoya's cave, because
that's what I immediately thought of. I was like,
they don't ask a question; they just tell you, the thing backwards, you know. So it's not a question. So, yeah, we hadn't found this yet prior, but up north on the northern continents, there is a town with a broom in it, and I can't recall what it says, like its dialogue copy specifically, but I think it might be a question, so that might be it. And I'll certainly think of that next time when we get to it, because like this, you know, the side quest episode we're doing is not dealing with either of those towns that are up there. So, or are there 3? Whatever. It's not dealing with any towns. So I didn't like make notes and stuff for those, you know, for this episode. So when we get to those towns and we cover that one, I'll for sure remember that. And if it is, that's cool. That's, you know, one of the questions. So that's kind of it with the Final Fantasy shit. You know, we fucking covered that game so in depth. What are you going to talk about from this stuff? Whatever it is, we got it covered for sure. We've already talked about it for probably 45 minutes, whatever, every single bullet point in that fucking thing. So after that, we have Howard and Nestor, and their feature game ep is Game Ep alum, Super C. And as far as these go, kind of as always, Nestor's a dildo, Howard is a passive-aggressive dickhead the whole time, and then a shitty gameplay hint is obtusely wedged into the dialogue, etc., etc.
Oh my gosh, I'm done with Howard and Nestor. Like,
yeah.
That was just not funny. I just read it and I was like, why?
Yep.
I'm thumbing through that one when I go through Nintendo Power 15. Like, meh.
Yep, I do every time I read them because fucking, I don't know, maybe I'll find an interesting one, but two, just I'm dutiful. I'm dutiful. Yeah, it's just not good. Not good. And like I said, even as a kid, dude, I wasn't. I've said it a million times, but even as a kid, I didn't like these, which is that's saying something, After that, we have a two-banger on the Summer Consumer Electronics Show in Chicago. And given the nature of CES, which is a look forward at things coming down the pipe in the video game industry, most of what's covered here, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game, Mega Man 3, Deja Vu, Beetlejuice, Bart Simpson vs. Space Mutants. There's a lot of stuff in there that's interesting to talk about, but none of it's hitting for a while, of course.
But it's the hotness. I mean, looking at this, getting this Nintendo Power, you look at this, I'm just like eating this up.
That arcade game, yeah. Like I said, I have this issue, and I'm sure that arcade game thing probably had me on fucking pins and needles, dude. I was probably like,
I'm like, when is this coming out? Oh,
yeah.
Mom, for my birthday, this one.
Right, yeah. Even if your birthday's before it comes out, you're like, can I get a voucher or something?
Right, the monetary equivalent. So
yeah. So yeah, maybe we put it into a fucking into a Coverdell account. We'll put it into a Coverdell account, earn some an interest bearing Coverdell account to earn some money for college, and then I'll be able to pull that. We'll be able to pull it out still when fucking whatever. So yeah, there's a lot of fucking kids probably petitioned for this the second they saw it, no question. I love that they mention NES Play Action Football for the Game Boy here when Nintendo can't even get their shit together to get the NES iteration out for as long as they've been talking about it, and it's been almost like a year now that it's delayed getting onto store shelves. So they're talking about the Game Boy version, and they can't even figure out the fucking NES one. So
hey, maybe they knew it was coming. I mean, they're going to keep hyping it up.
Yeah, well, sure. I mean, it's two different fucking teams too. The Game Boy one. It would be hilarious if we find out that the Game Boy one ends up coming out before the fucking NES one hits. That will be hilarious to me if that's the case. Which now I did not check that, and now I want to. I'm actually going to do it. Not quite, but super fucking close. NES Play Action on Nintendo comes out in September of 1990, and the Game Boy version comes out in December. So. Pretty fucking close. One title that is covered in here that does hit in July, though, is Nintendo's in-house puzzler, Dr. Mario. Jay, what is your stance on Dr. Mario?
That game doesn't exist in my mind. That's my stance. It does not exist in my mind. That game is perhaps the worst Mario game I've ever played, perhaps.
Oh my
God, outside of the Atari version, which I hate because it was just, it's the original. I hate Dr. Mario in every way. It's a low budget Tetris that is nowhere near as fun, and I will not play it. Josh, the floor is yours.
Jay, I think we have to dissolve the podcast right now.
Of course, you like this pile of terrible. So explain to me why this is not the worst Mario game that's ever been created.
Oh my God, it's fucking...
Name a worse one.
It is
anyone.
It is
any
so
Mario.
Addicting. It's ridiculous, dude. It is... And I don't even... It's not even a nostalgia thing. I don't think I was a big fan of it as a kid either because... I don't know. It's just it's a puzzle game, and that that as a kid you want more going on. But as an adult game, oh my God, I play it so much to this day. It's definitely a better real time puzzler than the NES Tetris. No question. The NES Tetrises are trash in my opinion. The Game Boy one's better, and I'll play that. But I
actually don't remember NES Tetris at this time, so yeah.
Well, they have there's a Tengen version and an NES released one, or Nintendo released one.
I know. I think of the Game Boy one immediately first. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's better, so you.
And then now all the Xbox ones and Tetris 9. I think about those Tetris Effect.
Right. Well, the NES Tetris, or the Nintendo Tetris rather, doesn't even have 2-player head-to-head, which by default makes it a way shittier game. I'm pretty sure the Tengen one does, if I'm not misremembering. So
none of this has anything to do with the fact that Mario, Dr.
Oh,
Mario...
yes, it does. Yes, it does. Head-to-head fucking multiplayer is a huge part of it. The head-to-head component of Dr. Mario is fucking incredible. You have so much effect on each other's gameplay. It's so frustrating, dude. It's so...
So you enjoy matching the colors. So we're color matching? Is that's
well, you do color match, but I mean it has the same thing as Tetris with like, or maybe not Tetris, I guess, but like, and I'm not a Bejeweled fan, but it has the thing going on where like you need 4 in a row, of course, of the same color, but you can make that a lot of different ways, and then there's chain reaction things that you can devise too, and the chain reactions are how you affect the other player's playing situation. So there's a huge incentive to chase chain reactions.
But Bejeweled is a much better game. I mean, Super Dr. Mario.
No, it's not, and it's definitely not. No,
Josh, what are we?
Jay, this game is so goddamn good. So I guess maybe, God forbid, you don't know what Dr. Mario is. You oversee a bottle-shaped play area full of 3 different kinds of viruses. The primary colors, red, blue, yellow. And you have to drop 2-sided pills made up of those same colors down onto them from the neck of the bottle that create rows of 4 for the same color. Rows can be made up of virus or pill, just same of the 4 colors. So you can have 2 viruses, 2 pills, even more if, God forbid, you're playing a level with that many fucking viruses in it. But gravity is a factor, so when lines are made up, pill halves that are remaining will fall, that were hanging in midair will fall and can create chain reactions for bonuses and shit. And the music is fucking incredible. For one, before you even start, the fucking music is incredible. There's only 2 track options. Fever and Chill are the track names. I'm a chill guy. So that's fucking great. And then, yes, Jay. Oh my God, man. The head-to-head is fucking on a whole other level of competitiveness. It's so much better than...
All I hear you saying is give me a list of options. And none of them sound fun. I just hear you give me a list of tasks, and none of them sound fun. I don't know, man.
Oh my God, dude, it's so much better. We got to play them. We got to play. We have got to play. It's you clearly do not have the head-to-head exposure. I mean, if you whatever. I'm sure there are plenty of people that prefer Tetris. I'm sure there's plenty of people that are like that. But to say that it's bad is fucking insane, dude. Like, Amy and I will play this, and she always wants to play. Like, literally anytime I want to play it, she will play it. Like, we can stop whatever we're doing. If I suggest, because like she's always trying to get me to play it, and I'm like, I don't want to fucking play Dr. Mario. Because like when we start playing it, dude, she flat out loses her fucking mind, dude. She loses her she's a different human being. She's a different fucking human being. She acts like a crackhead. It's no bullshit. She acts like a fucking crackhead. And she like we finish, first of all, because I win a lot of them. We finished the level, and she's just like, again. And I'm like, no, like, we played fucking 7 times. Like, no, we're done. No, again. She just says it. She's like, she doesn't say any other words. She won't say any other words. She just, again. And like, just again. It's fucking, she's like great. A crackhead, dude. Yeah. And yeah, she'll play as long as I put up with it, basically. It's fucking incredible. And actually, I bought her a clean CIB copy for Christmas a few years back, so now it's in the collection. Like, I actually have the full box right here sitting up on my desk. Oh my gosh! So yeah,
I would play that via NES online through the Switch online only, and only if I hated myself that day. I don't.
Jay, you don't know what you're saying, dude. I'm telling you,
I've clearly never played the head-to-head.
I promise you, if we play head-to-head, and you really stick with it, if you can play for 15 minutes, if you can stick to it for 15 minutes and get grooving, I promise you, you will fucking be into it. Especially your little video game competitive thing. Dude, oh my God. You would fucking... It's so fucking good.
I don't know,
dude, my grandmother... I think I've told this story before, too. But my grandmother... She actually just passed. Fucking... My Ted's dad, or Ted's mom, rather. He bought her an NES. And this game... I think she had Tetris in this. And maybe probably some Marios or something too. But This game would sit in her NES at all times. It wouldn't even be popped up. It would be down. Like when she put the game in, she wouldn't close the door. This is a cool memory.
Oh, really?
She wouldn't close the door, so you could see the game that was in there, and it was always down. Like if you walked, it was in her bedroom. If you walked into her bedroom, it would be in the Nintendo and it would be fucking down, and like the system off, when it turned. I'm not saying when she's not playing, that's how it is, So she played the fuck out of this game. Like it's for fucking anyone. Anyone can fucking play it, and it hooks anyone, dude. It's so fucking good. It's got to just be a lack of exposure, dude. It's got to be that you're saying these things because it's fucking insane. It's so fucking good. It's such a good game, dude. It is so much fun. And head to head, I'll put a challenge out there right now. Any of our listeners. We should do a fucking tournament or something. I'm happy to do a Dr. Mario. If we get enough people bugging us to do it, I am happy to do a Dr. Mario fucking head to head round robin tournament. Right. It's so fucking much fun. It's crazy to me that you're saying that. That's crazy.
I'm fairly certain I saw it on like the Switch, NES Online.
It is. So, it's on there. Yeah. But you know what? You can't play it on Switch. Switch sucks. We've tried doing that when we first started fucking with NES Online thing too, because it was just so much easier to do than firing the Nintendo up. Those controllers are horrible for.
Well, I have the Switch, the NES controller for the Switch.
Really?
Yeah,
maybe
like
that's better. I haven't used those, so maybe it's better. But those,
I don't play. I don't play those unless I use the actual NES one just to make it legit. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because the directional stuff you can get it's so. Oh my god, it's frustrating when you fuck up in Dr. Mario because of like some dumb little thing, like one little minute thing off.
Yeah,
it's like,
that's part of why I hate it.
Yeah, it can crush your soul to get that wrong. Well, dude, don't be angry because it's not like I said. If you play with the normal controllers, it's fine. The controls are not bad by any length. So if you fuck up, it's on you, Jay. Don't hate the game. Hate the player.
Still not fun. We shall see. I'm willing to try it out again just to see.
Okay, yeah, so we got to fire some head to head up on that for sure.
All right.
I recommend getting some practice first, Jay, because I am a fucking assassin.
All right.
Okay, so after that, we get into our cover feature. It gets realized next, a 7-banger on Chippendale Rescue Rangers, half of what they gave to Final Fantasy. That tells you who's really pulling rank here. Disney probably tried to throw their weight around to get that on the cover, but we all know who the real big dog is in this issue, and it's Final Fantasy. So this is an action platformer from Disney, as we said, by way of Capcom, and it is based on the after-school cartoon of the same name that ran for 3 seasons. And I did a little dive on this just to I watched it a little bit as a kid, but I didn't know any of this for sure. It started on the Disney Channel in '89, and then went into syndication in 1990, where it would play as part of what was termed Disney Afternoon.
Disney Afternoon.
I'm sure that warms up a a person our age's little heart. And so it was part of that, and it was alongside Tailspin and DuckTales.
Heck yeah, man! That's a fire lineup.
That's pretty good. Yeah, DuckTales is good. I kind of like Tailspin and I kind of like Chippendale.
Yeah, but Tailspin was like the third on the list.
Yeah, for me, for sure. And so the show is focused on the namesakes, Chipmunks, Chippendale, as well as Monterey, Gadget, and Monterey's housefly sidekick, Zipper. And they take those Chippendale, they take them, and they're, I don't know, it may just be, I don't know how you argue it, really. So it's just kind of something that just is like, it's so perpetuated on the internet and in the zeitgeist that it's like, you can't help but say it now when you talk about these characters. But Chip is modeled after Indiana Jones. Dale is off of Magnum P.I. is like the idea here. And it's like, that is like what supposedly they're, kind of like, I don't know, they're...
The Rescue Rangers, man. Come on. They're like...
yeah, but I don't know. But like, how does that equate to Magnum? Like, I don't know. Like... I don't know, just the heroes. They're supposed to be those.
They're
heroes,
adventurer heroes. Like, what do you do?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, crime-solving, adventuring heroes.
So I did watch it, though. Again, not nearly as enthusiastically as DuckTales. So you said Tailspin was definitely third fiddle for sure. What would you? Is it?
I mean, DuckTales was number one.
Okay, yeah.
DuckTales number one, but I still love Chippendale. I mean, this is a great. Monterey Jack is a great character. As a kid, like, I remember when I got a Lunchable. And it was Monterey Jack cheese for the first time, being like, "Oh shit!" It just like from the character, like I was so confused. It was that really like when you don't know, when you're like, wait, that's a type of cheese. That's the character.
Just shattered your fucking reality as a child. Like, oh my god.
Like, what is this?
That's fucking incredible. That's good.
But yeah, love the game. I mean, and we've talked about this I've talked about it several episodes ago. Excuse me. But this was a qualifying game for a gaming competition that I entered as a kid. So, like, I still don't remember what this tournament was, but I definitely remember playing this a ton, like, trying to prove my skills for it, playing it in some, like city center in downtown Columbus or some kind of area when it was out. And, yeah, I mean, I loved it. What can I say? That was a freaking great game.
Having that fuel for your nostalgia fire for it is no question a factor, for sure.
Yeah. What do you want me to do?
Cool.
Like,
yeah.
My product of the Disney afternoon.
Well, my thing is, the reason I don't think I was really into it is I was a big fan of the old school Chippendale cartoons. I really liked their old Disney short versions of them. You're looking like you don't even know that exists.
I had to think about it for a second. I'm like, wait, what are we talking about? But now that you say it, those are so different, though.
Oh yeah, way different. They didn't. Yeah, they were.
Different.
You know, they're. You know, they. I don't know. They were usually like the. I don't know if all of them, but a lot of them, they were an antagonist for Donald Duck. So
yeah, they were like more just the chipmunks instead of they didn't have this distinct personalities between the two.
Oh, they do.
I mean, but not like this.
They're more fleshed out. But it was that same dynamic where Dale's like the doofy dipshit, and Chip is always annoyed with him because he's fucking stuff up. Like that dynamic was absolutely there in the old ones too. So yeah, So I actually had this Disney Collection VHS tape. I remember that had Goofy on the cover of it, and one of their cartoons was on that tape, and I wore that motherfucker out, dude. And he ran. It actually ended up looking it up on YouTube. It's an 8-minute short.
Oh,
and it's called. It's the one I posted. It's called All in a Nutshell. It was made in 1949. Link to that is in the show notes. And Donald runs this peanut butter selling stand, and like the little hut that he does it in is shaped like a huge walnut. So when Chip and Dale see it in the forest, they like have a fucking out of body experience. Like, oh my god, the biggest, most incredible nut ever. We'll never have to look for anything ever again.
I remember. I've seen
that.
Yeah.
The first half of it is them trying to crack into it. You know, because I guess they just don't see the cover, the door, or whatever it is. So they're trying to break into it, and once they get inside of it, and they realize they find peanut butter for the first time. They've never seen peanut butter before or tasted peanut butter. Once they figure out that there's something in there making peanut butter, they're trying to steal all the jars of peanut butter from them, and it's a fucking great cartoon. And yeah, I remember it so fucking fondly. So yeah, so that's like I have a big affinity for their old school ones, and I think that kind of affects my enthusiasm for these kind of rebrandings of them. You know, so
fair.
I think that's
fair.
Of it. But not, you know, I certainly don't have any shit to talk about Chippendale. It was great for sure. Yeah. So yeah, in the game itself, you control the lead dogs, and maybe the coolest part about it is the simultaneous couch co-op is available for that. So you can play, you know, as two people, as both Chip and Dale at the same time, and that's fucking amazing for two fucking kids hanging out together, two brothers, brothers and sisters. Fucking like incredible opportunity to couch co-op when it was not, especially, you know, you get like the Life Forces, the Contras, like those kind of more. And whatever, kids play those just the same. But I don't know. It's just like the IP. You definitely don't get that for IPs like this. You know, you don't get for like Disney IPs. You don't get that kind of game. You know, so it is a very unique opportunity to control something like that. Control a cartoon is, you know, probably fucking incredible for a kid's mind. So you know, like to do that in tandem with your buddy is fucking awesome. So yeah, so the levels, as far as like the format of the game, the levels are all oversized, like from a tiny chipmunk's perspective. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's an arrangement of everyday human environments: a park, a coffee shop, a library, et cetera, et cetera. You know, so that's pretty cool little gimmick too, or not gimmick, but game mechanic. And the first couple pages here in the mag have, you know, they cover the mechanics of the game, the special item breakdowns, then quickly move into a level by level map thing up to Zone H. And in customary Nintendo Power fashion, they're leaving the last 30% or so of the game, I would say, to be tackled without the maps. So that's pretty cool. The Power Player meter is 4s across the board, so 80%. That's, you know, very respectable, very good.
Respect.
And yeah, I mean, I have like a fond memory of the game, and it had to be a rental. We didn't have it, so maybe we rented it.
Yeah,
Jab and I, and we're able to play it co-op, and that was probably a cool thing to both of us. Because I can't like, it's like I fired it up as a refresher, and I don't know, man. Like the title screen theme is fucking fire, as Capcom is accustomed to bringing to the table, so you'd expect that. But you get to choose whether you are Chippendale, even as a one player, so that's pretty fucking cool. And by the way, Jay, I'm 1000% a Dale guy. I don't know how I don't know where you stand on Chippendale, but I'm a Dale guy for sure.
I mean, I'm Chip.
I mean,
he's Indiana Jones style. He gets stuff done.
I would definitely. I don't know. I mean, I like both those things, but I think just from the comedic perspective, I think Magnum PI is way more hilarious of a person, character wise, than Indiana Jones. Is like the movies are great. Fair. He's cool, but he's a little bland. Magnum PI has some chutzpah.
I believe it's chutzpah. Like.
So it's I mean, it's all fine and dandy, I guess, the game, but it's just, I don't know, it's not, I just can't, it's not, there's not enough there for me to play now. It's just not, I did not necessarily have fun. Yeah, I mean, the music, the graphics, controls, like everything is solid. It's just like, it's one of those, it's Capcom, so everything's great. It's just, when you throw it all together, it just doesn't make a great thing to play present day, from my perspective. I don't know. I'm assuming you did play it again.
Yeah, it's still fun. I still have that affinity for it, so it's like, it's the music, of course, naturally, and I love the fact you're jumping over spools of yarn and just, the supposed drawn to scaleness of it and that kind of thing. Yeah, so I mean, I still like it. I don't remember if I beat it. I would think I did, but like I didn't own it, so I don't know that I ever beat it.
There's a lot of looking at that map thing in there. There's a lot of levels. It's not.
There's a lot, so it makes me think I definitely didn't. But like I had it, I definitely had it long enough, like I said, to be practicing it for that tournament. But yeah, I don't know.
So yeah, so did you buy? You didn't buy it? That's
I don't
a good
think
question,
so.
Actually. So you didn't buy it. So what? I mean, do you think?
I mean, it could have been a rental. Like at the time when this came out, this was the time when like my mom, like there was this place called Farmore, and it was like a big, I don't know, just a chain store, but they had a video rental part where you could rent games for like 99 at the time for 99 cents. And so, and you get it, I think originally for like 3 days. So like on Mondays specifically, it was across the street from where my mom worked. And so she would rent us like games, and for 99 cents you get it for 3 days. I mean, I'm playing the heck out of it. And so like knowing that this was happening, I could see she would have rented it and just like went and just rented it again so I could like play it more. But like I'm fairly certain I didn't own it.
If you were just like bugging her around fucking for like 3 weeks or something to go get it every fucking day.
No, there were very few games that I actually owned for the NES. Like the Super Nintendo was when I started like being able to buy games and all that. But like I only owned an actual few amount of NES games. So at the time.
Word. So we move on from there to there's a tectonic shift, I would call it, to a 3-pager on Ultra's oft-maligned Metal Gear sequel, Snake's Revenge.
Hard pass. Moving on. Next topic.
yeah, we've already talked about it before, and how sad it makes me, because I love the original so much. But the power meter here is all 4s, except
which
for
is ridiculous and insane.
Yeah.
I tried it again, just to be like, just because, and I was immediately mad again.
Yeah. No, yeah, I mean, they are probably throwing their homies at Konami a bone with that assessment, I would say, which, yeah, it really bums me out that it's not better of a game. And, the feature here is entirely contradictory to that. It looks fucking amazing.
The art is cool.
All too Metal Gear-y. They launch it off with Solid Snake is on a new mission beyond the edge. And this was worth reading to me. Back behind enemy lines, Solid Snake has his work cut out for him. The toughest commando since Rambo is on his own, although he might get a little help from his friends. To win through to the end, and that's really weird phrasing, to win through to the end. But you'll need cat-like reflexes and at least 9 lives. Luck helps. And a little blurb capturing some of the dope show opening cinematic pixel work is extreme. That's like it's similarly 80s aggro, I would say. In Metal Gear, no one could put an end to this one-man tornado. just, I don't know. It's just so much testosterone. It's fucking incredible.
Too bad the game doesn't live up to it.
No, yeah.
Such great copy. Such bombast for such nothingness. Ugh.
Such little payoff, right?
Yeah.
Well, Metal Gear 2 is not alone in that fucking transgression. There's plenty of inappropriately directed hype going on in all these magazines about things that they shouldn't be, misleading kids, but that's how marketing works. A breakdown of the Snake team is provided here. We have Snake himself, Jennifer, John Turner, Nick Meyer, before a number of screenshot maps of top-down areas that are all just as cool as those in the original and make me want to play the shit out of this game, even though I know better. And they show, I thought it was interesting to me that there's as little as you possibly could put of the Suck City side view sequences teased in here. So, like, they're wisely put on the back burner, because I think that's a big part of the downfall for that game. That is the Final Fantasy Victory theme, bringing us in here and celebrating the Frat Bros' graduation to Ninja Brodom in our side quest.
Apropos.
Right. The Nintendo is fucking with the flow a little bit with this issue, putting classified information this early in the mag, and that is what comes next. We have Knight Rider, Double Dragon 2, Super C, Adventures of Lolo 2, Godzilla, Astyanax, Zezzies, Bri Fighter, and yeah, those are all the dossier topics presented by the various unnamed Nintendo HQ secret agents. The pro mode password for Lolo 2 is cool.
Right?
That's probably the one, it jumped out to me, that punching in these opens up new rooms, i.e. puzzles, So, I mean, I already think that those games have massive replay value to them, and that adds even more to, length and that to an awesome game, so.
But at the same time,
cool.
man, like, how can you, like, I can get past the third level, so I don't know. I don't know how, when I'm using the pro mode.
I told you, yeah, I fucking, I've played those on flights. Like, the last few flights I took, I've been playing a lot of Lolo, so I've gotten further than the third level for sure. And yeah, I mean, I'm far as fucking to it, and it gets hard as shit, too. It's fucking very difficult.
Okay.
But definitely stuck on something. I can't remember what it is offhand, but I'm definitely stuck on something right now. That's why I stopped and didn't finish it, so. Yeah, I am also not pro tier yet either. That's the only one though. Everything else is like stage selects, fucking sound, fucking
things that I wouldn't use now. Like the Double Dragon 2 stage selects would be cool if I needed them, but like I was able to march through that game recently without it, so I was like, oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah, I feel like those were. I think we found those somewhere else. I feel like we already talked about those before. That's why I didn't mention them. But
yep.
After that, we are back to game features with a 4-diddler on Vic Tokai's The Mafat Conspiracy. And like I said, we saw it on the cover. Oh my fucking God, please go away. Like, why won't it go away? Why is there so much? How much money does Vic Tokai have? Where they are just, it's fucking everywhere, man.
They either believe in it a lot or they're like, no, we spend our resources like this has got to work.
Yeah, this has to work or we're fucked. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, dude, even in the mag though, the cinematics look fucking incredible. So I mean, I can see why they, I mean, I can get why they. It's probably an easy thing to push, on that basis. So
yeah, I'd give it a try based on this spread if I didn't already know. I'd be like, oh, what game is this? Like, I'd be like, Mom, can you rent this game? It looks cool. And then I'd get it and be like, ah,
yeah, damn you,
fooled again.
Yeah. Yeah, they have screenshot maps of the side view cityscapes, as well as top-down illustrations of the 3D maze portions of the game, which appear from these screenshots to be just one small click up from the Fester's Quest attempt at this 3D shit,
Yeah.
Yeah, in the vein of the impressive effort put into the cinematics of the game, everything about the copywriting and the headings in the feature are reminiscent of a film, and a Bond film specifically, I think. So, like acts, scenes, prologues, etc. And that's cool, but yeah, the game, fuck playing this game. Which is probably why they don't have any power meter here, because they couldn't I don't know, like anything that was even vaguely respectable
You're right. There's no power meter anywhere.
Right. So yeah, anything that was even vaguely
fascinating.
respectable. Right. Yeah. Read between the lines. Yeah. Anything that would even been remotely respectable number wise, Nintendo was just like, listen, man, okay, we're trying to do a magazine here. We're like, listen, we have a relationship. We don't want to fuck you guys. So, but we can't. We want to have any credibility. We can't. So yeah, I'd love to be a fly on the wall for that conversation of why that's the case. Like, we have this other option, It's like
nobody will know. Option. Maybe nobody will know. We'll just leave it off.
Yeah. It's like the headstone option out behind the fucking revival hut in Final Fantasy. It's like, listen, I understand. We don't have the resources, the money to offer you. You can't do that. Okay, fine. Well, here's the other thing. Like, it's not ideal. It's not an ideal, but it is a solution.
Love it.
From there, we have 2 pages on ImageSoft's Solstice.
Solstice.
Yeah.
Come on, give us some respect. The quest for the staff of Demnos. Let's go.
Fucking advocating the shit out of it. Yeah, we talked about this. We'll cover in the last Game Pro, and you were intrigued about it, and I was completely turned off, despite ideal theming for kinds of games that perk my ears up. The gameplay was just clunky, I guess, is probably the best way to put it. The power meter they have here is a 14.5 cum, 72.5% total, despite a 4.5 graphics and sound. So that tells you that's cool. And that's probably, I would say even that is probably more the music, because the music is absolute fucking fire for it. And I wouldn't say the graphics are great. So I don't know. 4.5 is high if we're taking graphics.
Yeah, that's high for graphics, I'd say. Yeah. Maybe 4. But the way it's done in the 3D, it kind of maybe.
Yeah, I mean they're probably exactly. They're probably trying to give that a little bump. There's a lowly 2.5 in play control, which is exactly my biggest gripe. So again,
fair,
very credible. Nintendo.
I'd maybe give it a 3. I don't know if it's 2.5, but
yeah, I wouldn't quantify art because I'm not a cunt. But I decided I would I read this, and you were it's the kind of thing I'm like, maybe I should give it a good shot. So I tried to revisit it and fired it up again. And actually reading the piece here, the Mystic Methodologies box on the second page does indeed list a few outside the box mechanics for getting around, like particularly in the category of platforming. So, if I could actually gain a real comprehension of them, I think, I was reading them, and if I could actually comprehend these and employ them, they might lead to better gameplay. And then there's the breakdown box on the first page also shows a subscreen with a map feature that I did not see.
Right? I didn't
not get there when I was playing it, and maps are good.
I didn't know that either. I saw that and I was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah. So
Changing
all that, all that, fueling a new fire up, and it still sucks.
Oh, no, I was afraid you were going that way. Yeah.
Yeah, the controls are so bad, man. The one-hit death shit is so bad. And yeah, the two things coupled together, I just can't do it. Which is a bummer, because I think if that stuff was better, if I could get to the point where I could engage the things that surround that, I think it would be a blast, but I just could not.
Want to like it so much.
Those enemies are fucking everywhere, and they're wandering aimlessly. It's not unpredictable movement patterns, and that again coupled with one hit death is just really tough to fucking.
Yeah, the one hit death actually doesn't bother me as much as just kind of trying to aim correctly on some of these jumps and at an angle to land on the
that's what I mean.
Platforms and stuff.
That's what I mean.
Tough.
You miss that. You miss the jump, and then you're falling down into a fucking cesspool of those dudes bat-shitting around, and you're dead. And it's just that sucks. We move from there to an epic 8-banger on SNK's July release of Crystallis, and the table setting blurb is good. I'll read.
Mm-hmm.
You've been frozen in time for 100 years when you wake up to find the world has been transformed. Monsters and magic are everywhere, and the kingdom of Dragonia is seizing power. It seems that you're not the only one who's been warming up. Now that you've been thawed out, you'll begin to unravel the mysteries hidden in this altered world and find items of power. Friends and wise people along the way will help you. And they also introduce a main story character here, the hero you can name, so Todd, of course, and Mizia, and she is a companion also from the times before times that has preceded you in waking up. So you have her going on, and then there's the 4 wise people, Zebu, Asina, Tornell, and Kinsu. And they impart 8 critical magical spells that you learn over the course of the game. And then one really fun and interesting note here in the spell breakdown. The last spell, Flight, is described as pass through hell alive. And I know it's just a word, but I feel like it being here both in the curse word and religion context is notable for Nintendo.
Yeah.
That made it into the mag. So that's interesting. And this is a huge game that is in the vein of a Legend of Zelda, probably, I would say. And I honestly feel like it might be a better bridge concept between the first installment of that game and what would be first on the SNES, Link to the Past. Like I feel like I can see some, if you were to plot out the video game chronology of adventure games and stuff, like I feel like the line would definitely pass through this, getting from Zelda 1 on NES to Link to the Past,
I fully agree that it kind of reminds me of Zelda Link to the Past a little bit, but I mean, when I turned this on, it had such a great intro, and then the gameplay, like, I didn't know how big of a game it was, but just the way it looked, I'm like, man, I can tell I don't have time for this game right now.
Yeah.
But I like it though. Like I kind of want to get into it,
Yep. Yeah.
I'm
yeah. There's a top down look to it, but much prettier than the first Zelda, of course. And there's a more refined real time battle mechanic to it too. That's kind of where I get to the Link to the Past, where you have just better sword play, and even though it's a top down deal, it feels like you have more control over your input and interaction with the world around you. So I have almost nothing but fond memories of it. Like I didn't own it. I think we rented it. And I've never really gotten anywhere in it substantially, despite, I had that childhood rental diddling, and then at least a couple, if not more, half-hearted adult emulation attempts to fuck with it. And there's something, and I've read a bunch of times that I even know what it is, and I still get to it, and I'm frustrated because I don't want, it's the kind of game that I don't want to consult a guide for, especially early on, because why even play it then? It's like the whole game is about solving and figuring shit out. So why, if you got to look at a guide and you can't figure it out, then why even try to do this? This incredibly time-consuming retro gaming activity. If it's not for the pod or something. So yeah, there's something to do with the windmill early on. That's like, it's kind of, I don't know if it's quasi broken or I can't remember what it is, but it's something really opaque, and it derailed a lot of kids. I know, just from seeing and hearing and talking about and reading about this game for fucking decades, So, yeah, I very much think it's side quest material. I haven't done, we haven't done any real time.
Yeah, I like that
games like this,
aspect. It's different.
Yeah. And, it's a fine line between doing, like, at least what I perceive those side quest adventures to be, that kind of like turn-based, like really, because, if you don't have the time in the gameplay to really sit and think about what you're doing, I think a lot of what we do with those side quest episodes will be lost. If you're just battling and flying through them, like a lot of that like micro analysis and like really, really granular shit that we do with those, I think will get lost, or at least not be focused on as much. So I'm a little hesitant about.
But you never know until we try it.
Sure, right? No, and that's what I mean. I think there's enough. The thing is, like, I think there's enough complexity to this story world where it would still happen, like that's like, I think it would still happen in a Zelda too. Like there's just enough there, but not all games like this achieve that. I don't think. I think this one does though. But anyways, the feature does a fantastic job of showing off the scope of the game, large overworld screenshot maps and illustrated labyrinth maps. They explain the elemental weapons versus enemies aspect of the game, which thankfully works much better than that of Final Fantasy. And in some cases, without the right weapons, your attacks are 100% nerfed, and you need to listen.
100%.
Yeah, you need to listen to this pinging sound effect. They alert you that you're not doing any damage, and that's I think it was Cartridge Command maybe just did this game, and they're kind of like similar to SideQuest thing where they take a few episodes to go through one of these types of games, and I think they were talking about how it gets a little like, this is like a complaint for the game that you need to pay attention to this so much, and so because the way you change that problem is you pull up your submenu and switch to one of your other swords that are different element dependent. And latter stages in the game, I guess, you have to do that so much that it gets pretty fucking annoying, you know. But whatever, bro. You know, like fucking it's an old game. That's how they work. Yeah, like fucking whatever. But Jay, oh my fucking god, look at this fucking item breakdown on page 49.
It's so detailed, man. I'm on it right now. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Holy shit, shoot this right in my veins. Look at all this cool shit. Rings, pendants, boots, lamps, shells. The only thing that can make this better is if they added Josh Allen. The last the last 3 pages are actually the 3 panels on the back of the pull-out Castlevania poster that's featured in this issue. So we have like a 3-panel deal where 2 pages are just more maps and story development, but the one is a couple of pretty dope charts. The first is a 54-item steps to get you started list. That is another testament to the lack of faith dumb American kids could do this, you know. And honestly, I had this, and I told you I still couldn't figure it out, so they were right.
Well, they just knew it was complex. And they're like, you're used to Mario just jumping around. This is going to be more tough, you know.
Right.
Let's give you baby steps.
Right. Yeah. Yep. The second is another breakdown of even more cool fantasy shit: orbs, bows, statues, shields, armor, etc.
I love that one. Ball of fire.
Yeah.
Tornado bracelet, like, yeah.
Tons of cool shit. Yeah, yeah. And inventory galore. Inventory bonanza.
I feel like these magazines are training me that I need this, which I'm sure that's the goal. That, like, if I play this game, like, I need this magazine. Like, I need to have this up so I can refer to, you know, like, whatever guides, strategy guides, not necessarily walkthroughs, but, like, item descriptions and stuff like, I need this.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, because, yeah, we said it a million times, dude. Like, there's just not enough. There's just not enough pixels. There's not enough bits. There's not enough shit there to really tell the story, which is what these games are. They're a fucking story. And, like, you need supporting material to fully flesh out the story to the point where, you know, dude, I'm not, you know, this isn't just a hat rack on my shoulders, Jay. I know I look like a dumbass fucking farm boy from Ohio, but there's a little something going on up here. And my design in these fucking side quest things that we're doing, that's why we're building in the magazines the way we are, because you need that supporting material to fucking really make this work, especially in present day where you have an expectation of all that being in the game and all that being there and not having to just use your imagination.
Dude, it's so funny though, like when I think about being a kid, like I most of the time didn't have that stuff and I just played, and if it was a game like this that required...
But you said you didn't like these games!
But that's what I mean, like if it's a game like this that required this kind of stuff, I almost never had it. So I'm automatically like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, this sucks. You know what I mean? So I would just naturally be like, forget those games. Whereas now, you're right. Like, I love all the games like this, but it's all in the game because it's like, you know, here's your breakdown, and I'm like, and I love it. So I think I just missed out as a kid. You know, I didn't have the thing. So
well, yeah, that's part of the thing too. You know, you've talked about like not having a big, like, you know, these are not rental games. Just like they're not mag episode games. They're not, or even game episode games. They're side quest games. Like they're you know, that progression of time needing to be spent with them is also representative of the way your NES library worked as a kid, which was primarily rental based. So you could even, if you even had an aspiration for these games, which you would you know, a kid is going to self mediate himself as far as what he likes in his head by what's available to him, you know. Yep. So if it's not even available to you, you're of course not going to like it, and you're even probably going to talk shit about them because you don't have them. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, it is very much dependent on what, you know, your ability to fucking get your hands on owned copies of games like this, because there's just no way to tackle them in a rental, maybe in a borrow basis if you could get one out of your friend, maybe, but you know, that's a lot to rely on. So after you haphazardly rip out that Castlevania poster and piss your dad off by scotch taping it to your wall in a way that's going to rip paint off when you take it down, attention then turns to the Game Boy offerings for the issue, another 8-pager, and it's a pretty fire lineup. Double Dragon, Final Fantasy Legends, Spider-Man, Paperboy, Fortress of Fear, a Wizards and Warriors joint, and they even teased the TMNT game at the end. Ooh. And some others that are less fire to me, but I don't purport to know every good game on the Game Boy, despite all the time I spent on one as a tot, so, you know, whatever. Final Fantasy Legend, as well as the Legends sequel and adventure, changed me and Jab's life as children. And I don't say that flippantly. So I have a lot of nostalgia for that one in particular. Do any of these mean anything to you?
Wow. It's so funny. Yeah, I never even played such a game as a kid. But yeah, to me, when I look at this, I immediately think of Double Dragon, of course. Gotta love Double Dragon because I'll play that anywhere. And then Paperboy, I played a lot of, oddly. But then there's Pipe Dream, but I never played that. I just feel like it was promoted so much.
Really?
And I was just like, that's such a weird game. What's that?
I don't know if I've ever seen that in my life.
I feel like it was promoted so much, I would see it and I was just like, Pipe Dream. But like the idea of it, I was like, no thanks. Just give me Double Dragon and Paperboy and I'm good.
It's just another one of those puzzlers, right? That's what's going on.
Yeah, it's just a puzzler.
Yeah, they have a ton of puzzlers on there. That was kind of, I mean, even if... I remember, I think Jab had a Bugs Bunny puzzler on there. And, like, I don't know. I feel like whenever... They're all just the same. Every one of them is the same on the Game Boy. Those puzzlers, you know? They're all the fucking same deal, so... Previews comes next, and first up is a two-banger on Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse. And you know Konami is coming correct with this, and the power meter attests to that with a banging 86%. Pretty sure that's a 4.75 in challenge, right? Sometimes I, like when I'm really like trying to parse these, these fucking power meter things, like I sometimes have a hard time differentiating. It's like
it's almost like 4, then like 4.9, and then 4.5
right, yeah.
or 4.75.
Yeah, but the way the meter looks, yeah, like and yeah, I don't know. Like I don't know whether it's just like kind of whatever.
Call it 4.33.
Right, yeah. If they're really going by quarters, like I'm not even entirely sure. So I'm always kind of a little bit guessing when I do these aggregates, but I don't know. Anyways. It's fucking. They think it's good, and they're probably right. And they're getting back to more of a Castlevania 1, less Simon's Quest vibe with this installment. And it's a side-scrolling action platformer. The RPG elements are minimized a great deal in this one relative to Simon's Quest, though not entirely, in my view. And they are introducing 3 characters your Belmont will meet, and you can play as, which is an awesome feature addition, I think. There is Grant Dynasty, described as a wall-climbing thief. There's Sypha? It's probably like Cypher, right? Yeah, Belmaids, and she is a mysterious wizard. And then there's Alucard, the rebellious son of Dracula. And he's probably rebellious solely on the basis of Dracula's lazy-ass naming effort, given as just Dracula spelled backwards.
Right? Like, come on. No effort, Dad. None.
Yep. Come on, man.
Do you even care about me, Dad?
Yeah. Some attractive features covered after that. There's an alternate route system that can be taken throughout the game, so the player is given choices through the quest. So the replay value is high because you take one course and you can't backtrack and go the other way. So, when you go through the game, however you go, there's going to be parts that you miss, and you'll have to replay it to see that part at all, which is fucking cool. And then there is... I didn't realize, this is not said here, I don't think, but there was just something... I just watched something. Oh, the gaming fucking quarterly or whatever. What the hell is it? Classic Gaming Quarterly that I posted that video of. He did a Konami retrospective, and this was one of the games. And he mentioned in there something that I didn't know about this because I haven't played this game much at all. And I guess you can't, like, once you choose one of these characters, you can't choose. You don't get to like switch through them freely. Once you choose one as your buddy, they're your only companion through the rest of the game. So you have to you have to decide to say no to the first one you find if you want to get the other ones based on what he said. So I mean, again, I don't know if that's exact. He even admittedly in some of the things he said for the video, he definitely is not like, it was kind of just like an off the riff thing that he was just talking from liking these 14 games that he was covering. So he may have been incorrect about that. But if that is the case, that's very high stakes, I think, and a cool thing that I kind of like. So that obviously...
It changes your gameplay. You got to think about what you're going to do. Like, am I going to be able to climb walls, or do I want somebody magical with me? Like, what?
Yep. And, also, again, just the replay thing. Like, once you make that choice, you're obviously going to want to play at least 3 times then, to see what all those characters do. So that's a really cool addition to it. And they also mention a password system included here that is not your standard bullshit hodgepodge of indecipherable alphanumerics, but rather akin to Mega Man 2's grid system. And some exact piece of copy here. With no letters to confuse or miscopy, it makes entering your password correctly a cinch. So Nintendo was aware of that fucked up part about Nintendo Play at the time. So they were pointing out there that they'd kind of fixed it, which is cool. They close this out with a pretty dope copywriting signed by Dracula himself. So, mortal man again foolishly pits himself against my undead forces. As I defeated all the others, so shall I defeat you and your puny helpers. You have been warned, Trevor Belmont. And fuck you, Dracula. First of all, not true. You beat him in both the first and second games, and even though he's clearly not dead all the way because he's coming back for these, but he defeated all his fucking undead forces in those cases for sure. So fuck you, you're wrong. 1, and 2, just fuck you, Dracula. After fucking playing the first game for a game up, fuck you on every fucking front.
Agreed.
Yeah. This is not hitting until September though, so we anxiously await that. Next up, is this one you had, like, is this?
No, I never played it at all. Yeah.
So, I'll probably talk about that later then for sure, I would say, because I think both of us will have that aspiration. Next is Lucasfilm Jalico Joint Maniac Mansion. Check out behind me. Also 2 pages. Power meter sits at a respectable 75%. Graphics and sound is a 3.5, and the point-and-click gameplay control is a 3. And I hear them on these relative to other NES offerings, but I think it's a bit errant to grade these aspects against games built from the ground up for an NES experience, which this, of course, was not. So that out there, who cares? The game is great in every way, and I'll die on that hill. As far as what the piece covers here, it's really like very broad strokes. You don't really have a choice because of the way the gameplay is. It's kind of, again, that point and click format doesn't leave you a lot to talk about other than spoilers, really. So just really broad strokes here. They have character breakdowns of the kids you can control and the house you're invading's weird family. Then some very light explanation of the gameplay style being different than your average NES bear, which I've already touched on and is very true. Then, so this is not till September also, but I'm revving my engines, Jay. Prepare yourself.
Oh my gosh. I didn't even play it because I knew it wasn't out yet, so I was like, I'm just going to skip over this one.
Yeah. And it very quickly, when you finally do, if you do, you will have that same realization that you have with Crystalis. You'll be like, oh, there's no point in even trying if I'm not going to sit and really do it. So,
okay.
It's a lot of layers, some startup cost. And yeah, again, that interface being on an NES controller is tough sledding.
I didn't know it was like that. Oh,
yeah,
man.
Yeah, it's point and click, and it's not just point and click either. Point and click with like Shadowgate's the same way. You got to choose the command and point and click.
Okay.
That scum engine shit. So it's tough, but it's worth it. And like you talk about like when we do these games, like is there like these are remastered for sure. Maniac Mansion, Day of the Tentacle, shit like that. So like I played that Day of the Tentacle remaster, and it's so good. So
Courtney played that a lot too.
yeah, really, really good. Very, very smart writing. Very, very fun. And even there's a really cool. I can't recommend it enough. Brought it up before too, but the maker of this, they did a Kickstarter, modern point and click for OS or for just any phone, probably on Android as well. But it's called Thumbleweed Park, and it's so fucking good. It's so good. And we talked earlier about that kind of balance, the Chippendale balance of like nostalgia to modern day, and how much we want to reference that. They walk that line, magnifique.
Nice.
So yeah, really, really good game. And then we have the last preview of the trio are a couple pages on yet another September drop. Ultra's employment of Paramount Pictures' ultra-boring film franchise Mission Impossible. The power meter is 70%. Who knows how valid that may end up being. I don't think I've ever played it, and my expectations are quite low, despite Ultra being a Konami shell company I usually enjoy the work of. I think it's an action platformer, but I honestly can't tell from the screenshots provided here.
I've just never cared about this property.
Yeah,
like the movies, like just nothing about it is enticing me. It's just
Tom Cruise.
I'm sure it's great.
Off.
Yeah, I just don't care.
I remember
I've watched one, but
really, I probably watched one of those first ones too. I imagine probably just on HBO or something because the time period I'm thinking I remember there's a 64 game that my boy Bung had, and I remember being us being like a little into it and kind of like us trying to play it and get through it for a while on 64. So like I think that clearly would have been a licensed adaptation of a movie that came out at the time. That's why they were making it for 64. So that would have been a time when I just got an HBO, and that's the kind of movie that I'm sure was on HBO and probably would have led to me like just checking it out for the fuck of it. But all I can remember is what I think of is that scene where he's descending down the tunnel and he like the thing that he's attached to like goes and he like stops like inches from the door or inches from the floor.
Yeah, that's like the iconic scene. But
yeah,
I don't remember anything else from that. But that's what I think of too. It's like
yeah, exactly. Me either. Yeah, that's definitely in the game too. I remember that being in the game. So
okay,
yeah, that's all I can think about it from as well, or all I can think about from it as well. So we have the top 30 next, and they have a reflective blurb up top here, something not usually present to my recall, where they point out how they've been covering the best games for the NES for 2 full years now, and would like to look back to July, August '88. So they're already learning the power of nostalgia and reflection here, even back in the initial fucking formative years of this stuff. So 2 years prior to this particular top 30, Legend of Zelda was number 1, Punch-Out was 2, and Metroid was 3, and that is a top 3.5, to say the least. So this issue, they have no mistakes in the top 10 in my eyes. They have Super Mario Bros. 3, Batman, Super Mario Bros. 2, Mega Man 2, Adventures of Link, Tetris, Legend of Zelda, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Tecmo Bowl, and Shadowgate. So that is a full 10 that are just like no complaints from me at all. So
it's a hot list. I mean, the whole top 30. I'm just like, it's all great stuff. I mean, the whole top 30. Like, yeah.
Well, I'm surprised you say that.
Well, I mean,
because we have side quest notables here, 2 of them. We have Dragon Warrior at 14 and Ultima, embarrassingly, at 25.
That, I mean, I would give it yes. Ultima, I feel like somebody fell asleep at the wheel, but like, nobody's perfect, Josh. So 28, 29 out of 30, I'll give it to him.
Pretty good. Thumbs up. Okay.
There's something, gaming is for everyone. Even somebody's going to like the garbage. So there's,
Fair. And we have to factor in sales and stuff for this too. There's dealers as one of the input data points on this. So maybe they just sold a lot of them, and I'm sure Ultima did sell carts because it's a popular franchise. So yeah, fair enough. Game alums. I decided to write these down here since we're getting enough of a catalog now where it's kind of fun that we have a bunch of these in here. We've already played them for Game Eps. We have Punch-Out still hanging in there at 17, Bionic Commando at 19, Super C at 21, and Fester's Quest bringing up the absolute rear at number 30. Counselor's Corner now. Here we have Super C yet again, Shadowgate, Codename Viper, the Magic of Shahrazad. God damn it. Yeah, that's the right pronunciation. And sure enough, some Batman boss tips we wish we had a month ago. So the Batman shits. First one is on the dual container alarm, the stage 4 boss, and it vindicates my childhood-informed urge to get up onto that middle pillar in the boss arena immediately. That made me feel good and warm inside. And that's probably, we talked about I'm sure this is where I had this issue. That's where it came from. I learned it from there, and fucking it's just rooted deep down inside, and it came out.
All right, got it. Lock it in.
Yep. So that's just an amazing. I love that we found it afterwards too. Like it wouldn't have been nearly as cool to have had that whole thing. Mm-hmm. That whole mental process couldn't have occurred if we'd have done this mag before doing that game. So I couldn't be happier that it went this order. But the second tip is on Firebug, and this is absolute fucking trash, bro. This upset me a lot. This really.
And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, they're suggesting that Dirk attacks and jumping the near impossible high projectile attacks as your means of fragging this fuckhead, and they even mention the possibility of running out of ammo with this plan, which of course leaves you completely fucked for the Joker battle.
What are you even supposed to do?
Eat shit, then die, counselors. That won't work. Like, fuck you for.
Which one of you guys came up with that? Like, you should be fired. It was you, Rich Richardson. I question you and that mustache.
Right. Speaking of counselors, fortune smiles upon thee, brave reader. We have 2, count them, 2 mullet counselors this time around. We have Mike Snyder. He has a pretty run-of-the-mill, even-keeled mullet that could still probably satiate our yearning for mullet appreciation if we had no alternative. And Mike digs skiing, video games, and camping, and Bionic Commando gets all of his game love. Beating it on One Life is his highest game score, and his favorite game is the same. But we don't need to talk about Mike anymore, Jay, because our mullet of the month here is Dane Emerson's.
Oh, man.
Dane has what I'd call a nerd mullet, I guess. The kind of guy that wants to have a mullet because that's what the cool kids have, but doesn't have the necessary genetics to pull it off with like a real gravitas, Yeah. So his front hairline is in total shambles, and it's receding way too far back on his melon to accomplish the right business up front. kind of thing you need for a mullet, you know? And then the party in the back is a very stringy and
wispy
lacking
party.
the right,
The party's
right,
missing some supplies, man.
You're right, yeah. It's lacking the body a mullet man wants flowing down onto his, in Dane's case, sweater over top of collared shirt. So, you know, you have to commend Dane for the effort and really trying to bring it on the mullet front. But I bet looking back, he's not as happy with his mullet phase as Mike is. You know what I'm saying?
Totally agree with that.
Yeah.
That's great.
So Dane's hobbies: computers, electronics, sports, video games, and aircraft. Hey Dane, aircraft is not a hobby. Flying them, that's maybe a hobby. Even
maybe
building
he means
them,
like putting together. Maybe he means putting together those little models.
model airplanes. Yeah.
I used to do
so
that.
building them in some capacity, whether full size to scale or little miniature versions of them, maybe. But listing aircraft without anything else next to it is fucking weird, bro.
Well, he probably, you know what? He's the type of guy that probably went into an explanation, and they said, "Dane, we got like 3 words."
Dane,
you know what I mean? Just say, "Okay,
Dane,
aircraft."
Dane, you've seen the mag, right? You've seen the mag. We have a format.
He's like, "I want exact replicas of aircraft carriers." They're like, "Dane, we got to shorten it. Aircraft."
Yeah, there's only so much copy. You know, there's only so much ink in the machine, bro. We can't. You know, we gotta pare this down a little. Mullets dig Bionic Commando, as Dane also lists Bionic for both his high score and his fave, which is interesting parallel. It's paired with Strider for his high score, though, beating both in the same day, being the mountain he climbed. And that is some mountain. I'll absolutely concede that to Dane here. In any event, thank you for your mullet service, counselor. After these messages,
We'll be right back.
I called the witch doctor, he told me what to do. He said, ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, chang, chang, walla, walla, bing, bang.
That means play Dr. Mario on Game Boy or NES.
Chang, chang, walla, walla, bing, bang. I beat the witch doctor, and this is what he said. He said, ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, chang, chang, walla, walla, bing, bang. Ooh, ee, ah, ah. And then he struck my head.
Hello, this is Lafayette.
And I'm Carlos.
From Nerds Talking the Podcast.
That's right.
Where we talk about everything from UFOs,
Yep.
comic books,
I like that.
movies,
Uh-huh.
streaming services, conspiracy theories, ghosts, video games, and more.
Kick-ass.
All on Nerds Talking the Podcast.
You can find us every Friday with new episodes on all digital platforms where you find your favorite podcast, Nerds Talking, the podcast.
that is a 1991 U.S. market commercial for Dr. Mario, Jay's worst game in the NES's history. And they are touting both the NES and Game Boy versions in there. There's a really catchy tune, as I'm sure you noticed, and this fun Witch Doctor theme going on. It's pretty damn solid, like all of Nintendo's marketing efforts tend to be, I think, like really well done, you know.
As much as I hate the game, as much as I hate that game, I know this freaking commercial. The minute it started playing, I was like, this commercial, yes, I saw it all the time.
Yep, the tune was fucking very,
It's catchy.
very easily buries itself into your music muscle memory, I guess.
Yeah.
Summer Fun and Games is the title on new games now available. And the illustration is a fisherman in a boat. And, like, it occurred to me as I was looking at this dude, I was like, I don't know if I've ever actually looked at any of these illustrations. So I was really looking at this one, like, there's a lot going on here. Like, it's never, I don't remember ever breaking one of these down here in an episode. So I don't know if it's never been this interesting. I don't know what it is. But in any event, this one, it's a fisherman in a boat, and the line is in the water. And down below are a bunch of ocean creatures, dolphin, squid, octopus, lobster, seal, etc. And they're all ignoring the bait on his hook because they're too busy playing Game Boy and NES down below. And it's totes cute. The first game they get into is Milton Bradley's Captain Skyhawk, developed by Rare and released in June. And, you know, Milton Bradley is like, meh, but Rare, good. So that's a little bit of a conflict, I guess, as far as what my expectations were. The power meter is 3.75s across the board, and an even Steven 75% overall. And I feel like this is a game I've heard spoken about in a positive light. but the litany of flying shmups on the NES are just really hard to keep track of. I've said that a million times too, just like most of the things I've said in every podcast now. I've said a million times. So yeah, like, you know, I'd heard the name and it rang a bell, but like I couldn't even begin to tell you what it was like or what it was about or whatever, you know. And I don't know, do you have a pre-existing anything about this game?
It feels like I never heard of it. I'm just like,
okay.
Yeah, not familiar with it before, and I just not completely see why now.
Really? Oh man,
dude,
I
read Flight Simulator, and I immediately wanted to pass on it. But I mean, the geometric environment is so basic. You can't seem to slow down. It feels like nonstop action, but not in a good way. Like it feels too basic to be called a flat sim. I don't know how I got this power meter. Like I feel like this is lies. This power meter is complete fluff.
Jay, first of all, at the risk of this being a listener's first episode and not knowing our dynamic, maybe we should state that I'm coming at this from a perspective that's like, this game probably sucks dick. Like, that is where I'm coming from when I see this on the page. So It's not like you're getting, I'm not already warm and fuzzy about this genre.
I'm expecting us to be on the same eye to eye here.
Right. So, yeah, this is not your typical flying shmup. Just from a mechanical standpoint, it's not your typical flying shmup. It's got two very different gameplay modes. It has a traditional aerial mission ditty where your perspective is from behind, like in Top Gun, and that's kind of, I guess, that's the flight sim thing that you're referring to. And then, yes, it has land-focused missions that are handled in more of a top-down, quasi-3D view. And there's also a space station docking screenshot thing going on here, and they look like that's probably control-wise its own deal too. So there's a lot of diversification in the computer code, and for an NES cart, that usually means it's not going to pan out, right? Like each one's going to be deficient in some way, shape, or form. So I fired it up with all that negativity in mind because I'm dutiful, and immediately you can see the rare on the title screen. Like, despite it being relatively simple, there's just some fucking tender loving care there that many NES developers don't take. It's like that, I don't know, rainbowy type thing going on, a good music track. Like, there was just, even though it was relatively simple, still a little more than your average title screen. So right away I was like, okay, this isn't a total dumpster fire. And you start in one of the land-based missions, and I was immediately, emotionally distraught. with its customary one-hit death bullshit, and that fucking sucks. So, I was dying a bunch right away, but there was something about it, and I don't know what it was, graphics control, I don't know, but I didn't just cut it off.
It wasn't graphics. So what could have kept you into this? I don't know.
The graphics are not bad. They're not that land-based. None of it's that bad, I don't think. It's not great, but they're not, again, like, I can't not know. I don't not know what I'm looking at, which is possible in a flying shmup for sure. So, yeah, I pressed on, and that allowed me the opportunity to realize, Jay, did you even know that there's an altitude to be taken into consideration in those land-based things? Altitude matters. You look like
if you run into the mountain, you'll crash. Like right,
but you control you have to control your elevation throughout the play.
I didn't seem to be able to.
You can't fly over. See, exactly. You didn't. Once
I was trying to. I even thought that. I'm like, I should be able to go lower, but I couldn't really.
You can. You absolutely can. And once I sorted that part of it out, pardon the pun, it took off, bro.
No. Lies.
I'm telling you, man.
Deceptions.
Jay, this fucking game is great, dude. It's like I played all the way through.
It's not great, Josh. What are we doing?
It is great. I'm telling you. You didn't even try the rest of it. Then you never got through that. You didn't even try the rest of it.
Nope. Because this was so terrible. Why would I want to play?
So you don't even know about the other two.
No, I mean I could see in the Nintendo Power magazine that there was more of it.
It's better than Top Gun for sure. I can tell you right now, the flight sim part is way better than Top Gun. But now, I mean, I'll get into that. But I mean, I played all the way through the first space station docking sequence. So that's kind of the way it works. I'm guessing it probably, every one of them kind of goes this way. You do the land deal, then you have an aerial dogfight stage over water with the flight sim part, and then the docking thing takes you to the shop menu with some dope-ass music. where you can buy weapon upgrades for your fighter planes. So it has kind of that off-road, super off-road kind of develop your vehicle deal going on with it. And dude, I'm telling you right now, I was sad inside when I forced myself to turn it off and press on with the mag instead of playing more. Like, I was shocked at how much fun I was having. It was really fucking good, dude. Really fucking good.
I don't believe you. Insert Ron Burgundy gif. I don't believe you.
Dude, I'm telling you. I had the same exact experience, dude. It's just literally a matter of, like, for some reason or another, I stuck it out longer than I normally do. And I mean, there had to be something there that made me do that. I'm not here, like, trying to find some fucking flying space shmup or flying shmup where just because we need to get one on the pod. Like, I'm not fucking at all trying to do that. And I was able to stick with it. And once I figured out that fucking elevation thing and was able to competently get through that first stage, I fucking was having a blast, dude. Yeah, it was. And I tell you right now, when I started posting about it, people lost their minds too. So there's a lot of affinity out there for this game too. So it's not just my perspective we're talking about here. We're talking about a socially validated opinion, Jay.
Of all the flying games that I've tried to get you to play. Oh my gosh. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. Like, I think
you got to give it another whack and try to figure out that first stage, and then you know, reform your opinion.
Perhaps.
Or at least try. I should say try to. I mean, you obviously still don't have to. You don't have to like it, but I think if you could get through that and enjoy the rest of the game, your opinion might change. Fair enough. SNK's Little League Baseball is next, and this was in that baseball extravaganza and Game Pro issue 11. So we've already talked about it. It's one of the middle tier ones in my opinion. It's good, but below RBI 2 and Bases Loaded 2. Power meter is a 72.5%. Then we have Virgin Arcadia collaboration Spot, and it's a puzzle board game with licensing from 7-Up, the soft drink, and it's their little red Spot character from this era, and it's 4-player enabled, and that's cool. It appears to be an adaptation from Othello, is what it seems like to me.
Yeah.
Where you're kind of flipping, you're trying to flip your opponent's colored little tabs into yours by making plays around them. And it's knowing Othello, which is a bifurcated, is that a right word? Is that an appropriate word? Bifurcated game where you have binary, where you have, it's either black or white. The idea of adding 2 more colors and changing that a little bit, you know, is kind of like, Othello is not a bad game. It's not like my favorite game to play or anything, but it's not a bad game. And that was one of the games that would be at school. And I would definitely remember playing kids at school with it just because we had nothing else better to do. So the idea of adding 2 more colors to that is kind of interesting to me. It's a 72.5 on the power meter, and it's not until September, probably thankfully. But I was kind of intrigued. I expected it to be, you know, that Spot character. I remember that there is a Spot. I shouldn't say I expected it to be. I thought it was that there's a Spot, a 7-Up.
The 7-Up character, yeah.
Yeah, side-scrolling action platformer game, yeah. So, I thought that's what it would be. And when I realized it was a puzzler, like board game type deal, I was like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't even know this existed. And the 4-player thing. And, I don't know. It's just, I'm intrigued. It's probably because it's on an NES tough. But at the time, it might have been all right. Then we have Natsumi and Bandai bringing us Dragon Spirit. This hit in June, and this is the flying shmup where you control a dragon, and that's fucking cool. Jab had it, and I was thrilled when I found the TurboGrafx 16 port, as that was much better than this one, but I like this one too. They give it a lowly 67.5% on the old power meter. That's kind of a bummer. And as a cool thing I clocked in the copy, or rather, a cool thing I clocked in the copy, is you start the game with a prologue mission, I had forgotten this, where the outcome of the boss battle at the end of the stage determines whether you play a nerfed, easier version of the game as a gold dragon, or a full difficulty and length version as the blue dragon. And that's it's a really cool way of doing that, I think, you know?
Yeah.
It's very, very cool. This is did you end up playing it, or?
Yeah. I mean, it sounded cool from the copy, so I was like, what? You know, I was fascinated, and I was like, is there original? Like, it's like a combination of Voltron, He-Man, and I don't even know. Like, But I got the blue dragon, so I guess I did well enough to get the full blue dragon afterwards.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's pretty easy. The first level was pretty easy.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just I don't know what else to say except it's oddly fascinating. Like you turn into this dragon, like you're flying. So I like that, and
yeah, it's the same kind of the thing that really piqued me about Dino Ricky and got us into playing a fucking doing a game app on it.
Great game. Anyway.
Part of it's just nostalgia. Jeb had it and whatever. But like the other thing was like taking that shooter thing that's just been done a million fucking times with the same exact kind of deal, that flying type thing, and then just taking it and just putting it into a different world, but still having all those things that make shooters as a concept appeal to people who like shooters. The power up system and all that shit is very well done in this, and it's got it does both the ground attack and the air attack thing that you have to oscillate between as a player. So that's, again, more mental engagement than just hitting the button and fucking flying back and forth avoiding shit. So like there's it has the levels, the layers that make a good shmup. But yeah, putting it in that dragon world is a really, really fun thing, I think.
Especially with the guy and the sword, like at the beginning, like the cinematic. I was like, whoa, okay, what is happening here? But I like it. It's oddly fascinating.
Yep. I mean, again, the NES port is definitely not the better of them. There's, it's an arcade port, so there's the arcade one's of course better. The TurboGrafx 16 one was way better. So like I'm almost hesitant to consider doing it, but I do like it, and I'm sure I would enjoy it. And the last one is from Namco Taito, a July release of an RPG called Dungeon Magic: Swords of the Elements. And this is one of those real-time battle RPGs where you see the world in a first-person POV window. And there's mention in the copy of a unique spell system where you combine various magic symbols to weave, is how they put it, spells of all kinds. And like those are all things that seem fucking really appealing to me. The power meter is 70%, and I remember dabbling with this as a kid.
What say you?
It's just not there. Like there's, I fired it up too just to double check, and it's an absolutely inaccurate memory. Like there's some good storytelling here, but the NES is it's just not ready to support this kind of UI. You know what I mean? Like the shit happening in the POV window is an absolute fucking mess, and like there's like just the thinnest of caches of assets that they have to put in that window, and it's just there's just no point in even having the window there. You'd just be so much better served to have some sort of top-down thing, where it's not supposed to be a living, breathing, real-time environment, So that kills it. And I guess like the spell thing sounds so fucking cool to me, but the game's so clunky, I wasn't even able to as a kid either. I don't believe really engage it and feel it out. But I want to say it was one of our like really participatory side quest disciples on the Facebook page was real. When I posted, actually the eye that I had as an earlier thing behind me, when I posted that, I think he was like, "Oh, I remember this game." He's like, "It's fucked up, dude." I was like, really? The spell system doesn't work. He's like, "Nah, it's just a lot of shit that like looks like it's gonna be cool, but when you get into it, it just doesn't pan out." So I certainly trust his opinion.
Yeah, I mean, when looking at this magazine, I, as we always do, think of this as I would as a kid, and Dragon Spirit grabbed me and made me want to play it. I looked at this, and this did the exact opposite, and I was like, no. Like, it just looks like the UI, just nothing about this is appealing to me, and moving on.
I know that I look at that map, and I'm like, well, okay, I'll listen. I
don't know, but look at the little screenshots. I'm like, what are we? Yeah. I'm like, no.
Yeah, it's rough. It ends up being rough. Because, they picture the different spell thing on the right there, spell things on the right there, like different runes and symbols. So yeah, you like get the symbols or learn the symbols or something, I'm guessing, and then you use those to build your own spells, which we did fucking 20 minutes on Waltz of the Wizard earlier, like crafting your own spells in some way, shape, or form, even in these rudimentary UIs. Like that's cool and appealing of an idea to me, but I guess it's unfortunate that it doesn't work out. So it is. Can't win them all. The NES Achievers is next, and I thought we weren't going to get any Ohio representation as I was going through this because there was so little in the beginning, but at the very end to swoop in, we have Mark Ing of Snig, I'm not sure how to pronounce that necessarily, of Chester, Ohio, and he had the top stealth ATF score. And poor Mark sitting at home playing that damn game enough to accomplish that. But then we also have Alan Sugg of Wascon, Ohio, and he had a middling Tetris score. And I couldn't tell you where it is, but I feel like I've heard of Chester before. So the obvious choice for our obscure Ohio geography lesson this episode was Alan's homeland of Wascon. So, well, first of all, the first thing I learned upon Googling Wascon is that they misspelled it, and it's actually Wasion. And so an E, not a C there, the third letter from the end. So that's important to know maybe before I ask this question, Jay. It's very possible Alan's handwriting was shitty enough for this not to be Nintendo's fault, and they didn't have Google back then to check it, so we won't talk any shit. But where is Wasion located in the great state of Ohio, Jay?
That place does not sound familiar at all. And because of that, I'm going somewhere northwest.
Good guess. It is located 31 miles west of Toledo in Fulton County. So yeah, it's extreme northwestern Ohio. The 2010 census counted the population to be 7,332. So it is of the minuscule size that I kind of like most of our geography lessons to focus on. And it was first settled by white people in 1853 and was originally going to be named Litchfield after the town of New York where most of these said white people had meandered over from. And a daughter of one of their settlers, Hortensia Hayes, that's quite a fucking name, Hortensia, Hortensia, suggested they might want to go with the name of the Ottawa tribe chief of the people that were kicked out by the federal government and banished to Oklahoma. That chief was Wasion. So surprisingly, those white people fucking agreed. That sucked and took the suggestion. I'm kind of surprised by that, but they did.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And other than that, there is nothing, and I mean fucking nothing, worth talking about on Wasion's wiki. This episode's obscure Ohio geography lesson has been brought to you by your mom. A couple pages teasing next month's Ninja Gaiden 2 strategy guide and reminding you of the previous Super Mario Bros. 3 guide, that, if you missed it anyways, precede video shorts. And Disney brings us Adventures of the Magic Kingdom by way of Capcom in June. And did this is something you played and remember?
I loved this game. I absolutely loved this game.
Oh shit.
I think I beat this game. I played this a lot. And interestingly enough, sometime within the last year during pandemic time, I played it again. I didn't play it all the way through. But I definitely started up and was going around. I was like, oh yeah, I remember this, answering these questions and stuff. This is cool. Yeah.
Yeah, this is essentially a marketing device for Disneyland.
Kind of. Yeah, you're just going around Disneyland.
You're asked Disney movie trivia, and then subjected to action platformer sequence inside attractions at the park that you navigate via a top-down map type deal. And I don't know, I thought when you first fired up and that you get that the screen of it's like Goofy Mario or Goofy Mickey and maybe Donald. Yeah. It's like a really nice looking piece of sprite work, and then you have to name your character. So you go to this naming screen, and Goofy stand up top there while you're naming yourself. So I thought I was getting to name Goofy Todd at the beginning, and I thought that was really cool. But yeah, it ended up being input for the dumb white kid you control, and Goofy was just overseeing the operation, I guess. So I was quickly disappointed when I found that was the case. It's funny, and I did the notes before it happened. I have been to Disneyland for the first time since I wrote these notes and tried this game. And
really?
That's interesting to me. A funny occurrence. I thought we went with Amy and her brother and his now fiance, and happened to be visiting, and then a buddy of theirs. And we were in the car afterwards, and her brother said he said the exact same thing about it as I had said to his buddy, just the two of us having a conversation alone earlier in the day. It was funny to me. It was like, this is exactly what I thought it would be. Which is not a glowing endorsement by any length. It's like, I don't know. See, the thing is, I had never been to Disneyland out here in LA. I had went to Disney World as a little kid. So first of all, it's a useless memory. I was 5 or something. So my memories are completely useless. Amy had been to Disney World at some point where she remembered. I think they all had, actually. And so they, I was listening to them talk about it, and I guess I was able to glean by what they said that like Disney World in Florida is like, and actually, because I Googled it at some point in the day too, like what are the differences between the two? And like Disney World in Florida, I guess, is like, it's not like 44 acres or some shit like that. It's a massive sprawling thing. Disneyland is, it's fucking tiny, dude. It's like so
really
small.
I've never been to Disneyland.
Yeah, I wouldn't be. Like, I'm not even sure. It's probably bigger than Cedar Point because Cedar Point is stuck on that little peninsula, but it's not much bigger for sure, and if at all. And yeah, I mean, you would, of course, I know I'm a fucking adult, and I'm not. Of course, it's not aimed at me, but the rides, even the ones that are supposed to be for adults, like there were a couple that like teetered on counting as roller coasters, Space Mountain, and
oh yeah, for sure, absolutely.
And then there was, what was the other one?
There was Thunder Mountain as well.
Thunder Mountain, right? Yeah, and that's the thing. See, like, so we're going around to these different rides, and we're riding them and stuff. And like, I had this memory from when I was 5 of riding this fucking ride that terrified the fuck out of me at age 5.
It was a beast. Yeah.
Not Space Mountain. I thought it might be Mountain something or other.
Yeah.
So we actually rode Space Mountain first, and it was not that because that's all in the dark and stuff. It's actually pretty cool.
Yep.
Probably would have terrified me too. Jesus Christ. So yeah, I thought it might be that one. We rode it, not the case. Was pretty cool. That's probably the best ride I rode all day. But yeah, and there's Thunder Mountain, yeah, and that's like you're on like a choo-choo train that's going, or a mine car type deal or something. You're going through, yeah, these different disaster things, and like, yeah, that was it. Like my memory is like a fucking waterfall. There's like a rock or something, some fire, like, like yeah. And my memory as a kid is just like absolute fucking mayhem. And yeah, I was on, and I was like, this is it, and it's definitely not mayhem. But it was probably the second best ride. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know, man. Disneyland was not. I do not need to ever go back in my life. I'm positive of that.
If it wasn't for taking the kids, I wouldn't care to go. It's all about the other theme parks and stuff that have cool stuff than the actual Disney, Right.
Well, the Disneyland there's a, you're walking in the entrance, and across from the entrance is another park entirely that you can't even get into if you just pay for Disneyland. Adventureland Park, it's called, I think. And we were driving up, I could see like actual roller coaster structures. They had like a power tower type thing, where like one of the things that shoots you up real high. And I saw a couple like actually looked like normal kind of steel exposed track roller coasters outside and stuff. So those are over there, but I also heard throughout the day that I guess that it's still like very lacking compared to even a Six Flags, let alone like as Ohio kids we're going to compare it to Cedar Point. It's like, give me a break, So I guess it's still not good, but it's probably at least closer to adult tier rides. What are you gonna do? It's cute, I suppose, and yeah, I'm sure kids fucking love it, obviously. Anyhow, the game is not much of a trash fire as I expected it to be, but it was still pretty mad. The power meter is 67.5%, so it's interesting to me that it got you as a kid. That's interesting to hear.
I mean, also as a kid, like, yeah, it's Disney trivia. You're doing Disney stuff. I don't know. It was fun enough to keep my attention that, like I said, some point recently I was like, oh, I'm gonna play this game again.
Well, I mean, yeah. Anything that's exactly why they make those like Disney. Anything Disney at the time for the right kid that got the right exposure to that stuff. Like, yep. Shoot it in.
Sign me up.
Whatever the fuck you want to. I don't care what it is. Go ahead and give it to me. I'll take it and buy it and yell at my parents to buy it until they spend the money. So Square's Rad Racer 2 is next. We've chatted this already. The power meter is 60%, a pretty bleh deal, and I agree. There's another racer, American Sammy's Michael Andretti's World GP, also gets a mess, 60%, and I also agree with that after firing it up. And then Nexoff's Port of Wizardry, a classic PC text-based RPG hit in July. This, Jay, is the ultimate side quest. You think Ultimate was rough sledding? You ain't seen nothing till Jab and I drag you into this fucking mess.
Nope, not happening. He's done. He's already ruined it, shooting himself in the foot, talking about this game enough. The amount of text in those screenshots tells me, nope. Nope. I will be playing Star Tropics over here while you guys do that over there.
Yeah, I'd also be much more inclined to do Star Tropics than that. Yeah, they give it a 70% of the power meter, which is, I think, quite generous given how opaque the gameplay is and how scant the imagery is. Like we were just talking about that kind of same windowed perspective UI for dungeon magic. But like this, I will to their credit. Like I think they did they have that there, so you have some. And the battle, it's not the battles, like it's literally just the dungeon crawling part, and occasionally you get something a little going on visually with what you find in the dungeons. But they understood their limitations, I guess, And I mean, part of it could have just been the underlying IP was also probably rudimentary, so they didn't even have any. They would have had to design totally new assets to even try to push that part of it. I'm assuming it's probably much more the reason this is the case, but. Either way, the end result is better, I think, and that what's happening there is simple enough where it doesn't drag down your gameplay. It's not worse. It just adds like a little bit of a visual component to an otherwise text-based gameplay. So it just works out better, I think, than Dungeon Magic in that regard. But it's still a rough fucking deal. Yeah, I mean, it is the I already talked about it already once, but yeah, it is the apex of NES RPG map making demands. And again, Uncle Ted's maps are on in the cache on the drive, so those are in the show notes, of course. I have pretty fond memories of it too, like borrowing it from and playing with him, and just like literally as a kid, just banging my head into the fucking wall, getting nowhere. But yeah, I acknowledge that as an adult, it's probably gonna be really tough. So, American Sammy's Arkista's Ring is after that, and no, we've dealt with it already. Jalico's Pinball Quest is another one of these traditional pinball deals with a twist, and there is an RPG mode where you earn gold to upgrade flippers and get abilities, and that sounded really fucking cool to me. But the actual pinball physics are just not particularly good, unfortunately. So, yeah. I even have clearly a soft spot for these, but no dice. They give it. I mean, I don't know if I've ever even seen a 57.5 on the power meter. So they give it a really shitty power meter grade. So Nintendo Power agrees with that. Then we have Wall Street Kid. It gets a 60% on the power meter. Then Absolute and Imagineering's team up for Heavy Shreddin', a snowboarding game that dropped in June. And this has 3 game modes: a downhill race, a slalom, and an obstacle course. It also gets a 60% on the power meter, but I've fired it up anyways. Did you play it?
Yeah, it was kind of meh, I wanted to like it because some of these slalom type of games can be fun. Over the years, there's been games that come out where I'm like, wow, this game's kind of fun. So I tried it.
Ski or Die.
Yeah, and I was just like, and obviously I remember the name Heavy Shreddin', but I was like, yeah, this is not really fun.
Yeah, I guess it's not the worst, and maybe if you're really into snowboarding, it might do it for you. I can see that. Yeah, but I am not, and it did not, so... Yeah. They give that interesting Boulder Dash game a really shitty 55%, so I guess right there is a new low. And I think that's bullshit. But there's 2 more pages of shit that we've either seen or is complete trash after that, or both in some cases. And life is too short, and I can't. So let's get into NES Journal. And they start with a write-up on Lucasfilm Games and their looming release of Maniac Mansion. And yes, Jay, this is the Star Wars people. Have I mentioned that when I'm talking about the game? So
how freaking cool is this, man? The fact that we were talking about this way back then, and it's like, yeah, this is the team that made Jedi Fallen Order. Like this, like they're still going. Like I find that so cool.
Yep. Well, they were doing good work right away, man. And they were pushing the boundaries with those point and clicks and stuff. And then even there, I don't even like Star Wars, and I remember I was into the X-wing and the TIE Fighter games that are really old space flight simulator type deals on PC, and been early to mid 90s that I was fucking with those. So those were good. And
it's so impressive because when you it says here that they emphasize storytelling, right? And you would expect that from this team, but then the fact that they were talking about this in 1990, and when I play the games that they are still making now, it's so in line with that because it's like you play a certain type of game, call it Doom or whatever, and you have your big HUD, you hit start, you have all these menus and all this kind of stuff, and it's a very different kind of game than Jedi Fallen Order, where it feels like you're in a story the whole time. The HUD is basically non-existent, so that when you're out and about, it's such a smooth transition between what you would normally think of a cutscene, story scene, and the action itself, that you just even when you finish a mission, it just kind of continues the story. It doesn't stop, stage 5 complete, none of that. It's such a smooth, it feels like you're in a story the whole time, and I'm I freaking love that. Love that they stuck to their roots and are still making hotness to this day.
Yep. Yeah, I actually wrote down a quote. Steve Arnold, the VP of the game division, is quoted here saying, "We think that a game can be just as rich as films or books, and that is what we try to achieve." So yeah, it's
Facts.
a really good idea.
Yes.
Yeah, they mentioned at the end how the NES can do certain things much faster than the PCs at the time, which we've talked about a little bit as far as how that, like the ports coming from and the reason consoles were so attractive at the time for developers, yada, yada, yada. But Lucasfilm Games here has previously done most of their developing for the PC, and so they bring up how they, it allowed them to tweak some shit from their perception to the better. So, yeah, he says they were able to dial up the sound in the game, Maniac Mansion, for the port, as well as add a great surprise ending for PC fans of the game. So, I've never known that, and I've only really played the NES version of the game. So, it makes me want to know what that difference is. Like, in the Day of the Tentacle, that remake, well, it's in the original one too, but I played that on iOS, and they have a full version of Maniac Mansion that you can play on one of the characters' bedroom computers, like in the game, which is really cool. Yeah, it's so fucking cool. It hurts, really. But especially, again, yes, that's something that could easily be done now and has been done a million times since, but like back then, that was a new idea. So that's a really cool idea. And when I was playing the remaster, though, I, of course, didn't do anything other than just like fire it up and tinker with it very briefly. So I kind of regret not going back after I finished it and doing that. So I might actually download the game again, re-download it from the store on my phone just to play Maniac Mansion in the game. You know what I mean? Like,
the game within the game.
Yeah. So I might actually do that just to give it a whirl. Because I assumed that I had played the game like the way that it is. But to hear that it's different than the PC version, like that kind of is blowing my mind because I've had an affinity for this game since it was on the cover of that NES Nintendo Power that's coming next. So. Interesting. Maniac enthusiasts, write in and let us know if you know, because this is not something I was able to quickly discern from Googling. So yeah, if you're out there and you know whether there's a big difference and then what it is, it'd be really cool to hear what it is. Because I'm not even sure if I played it, I don't even know if I'd notice if it's subtle enough or whatever. So I'm not even sure I'll clock it if I do that play. So if you know, please hit us up on the socials or something and let us know. The celebrity profile, this issue is next, and it gets, I would say, a little bit outside the box of their normal construct for this. They are featuring the professional racers that endorse 4 of the racing games on the system instead of just doing one person and a whole page on them. So the first is truck racer Ivan Ironman Stewart, who endorses one of our much talked about games, Trade West Super Off-Road. And they say here that he earned his Ironman nickname by winning punishing Baja races early in his career, whatever that means. I have no idea what that means exactly. And it says he and his 21-year-old kid will often pop into arcades to play the game together, and that is really fucking cool. That must have been really fucking cool, So that's a nice little anecdote mentioned here. And there's a really weird quote sequence towards the end of this article that I have to fucking anal retentively focus on for a second. So, Super Off-Road captures the feeling of off-road racing, says Ivan. Super Off-Road realistically captures the feeling of off-road racing, Ivan says. So it's basically the same sentence twice in a row, which normally I would just assume is a typo, and I would get on with my life and whatever. But no, we're going to fixate on this for a second. They add the word realistically to the second sentence. Realistically captures. So, again, captures the feeling of off-road racing, says Ivan. Super Off-Road realistically captures the feeling of off-road racing, Ivan says. So, they add the word realistically, and then they also swap the order of the post-quote attribution. Ivan says versus says Ivan. And I just mean, what the fuck, man?
Are you just trying to re-emphasize this? You're like, how can we emphasize?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's just say it twice. And
right, yeah, see, here's the thing. I can absolutely see someone saying those two sentences in a row in an actual conversation, right?
Right.
Like trying to hammer some point home that he's trying to make, but you don't quote them like that in a fucking magazine.
Yeah, it's so awkward.
You know what I mean?
What do we?
Yeah. I don't know. Even if you need to do that little in brackets sick thing, or or whatever you know what I mean? Like something. You do something when you're porting that from the fucking tape that you recorded the interview on. Like something needs to happen there. It's your job as a journalist to change that in some way, shape, or form. So yeah, it was just so fucking weird to me. Like I was like, I don't know. Yeah, you go through this magazine, you're just looking for something interesting. Like you hit something like that, and it's almost like you get stuck in a broken loop. Like, So that was fun. And then the next racer is Al Unser Jr. of U.S. open wheel racing fame, Indy 500 type shit. And looking up his history and stuff, seeing as I know nothing about racing and wasn't sure if this is like Formula One or what. But his wiki says he did one, I thought this was really cool. He did one NASCAR Winston Cup race in 93, which is like the closed car kind of deal. If you're like me, racing challenged. And he did this one race and he crashed late in the race, and just like afterwards, like, he was fine, thankfully. But afterwards, they were talking to him, and he said he'd like to do it again in an interview. Like right after the race, he said he'd be happy to race one of these again, but he never did ever again. So he like had this really accomplished career in open wheeled racing, and then did one NASCAR race, wrecked, and just never did it again. And like, I wish I cared enough to look it up, like the story that exactly happened there. But I'm sure it's like some sort of something interesting going on. But yeah, I don't know what that is. The game he endorses is Data East Turbo Racing, which is not NASCAR. It's open wheel stuff, of course. So he does claim to be a big Nintendo fan that often plays with his family. So there's some connective tissue in talking to him here. Bill Elliott is here too, who is a NASCAR guy through and through, and at least I'm assuming. And given the cool way he's leaning on that NASCAR-style car in the photo, you kind of have to assume that that's the case. So he's working with Konami on a game they're developing for the NES called NASCAR Challenge, and there's no mention of an affinity for Nintendo and or video games in his thing. So, just an endorser, I guess. The last one is Michael Andretti, who by far has the least amount of copy of the dudes here, three paragraphs of which just summating his IndyCar accomplishments. And then the last sentence reads, three sentences summating his IndyCar accomplishments. And the last sentence reads, he also helped American Sammy on Michael Andretti's World GP, although he has little time to play the NES. So he sounds like he's a prick. That's the quote they got. He has little time to do this. I ain't got time for that shit. So that's that. And then we have 2 pages on the rebranding of the Nintendo World Championships to PowerFest 1990 comes next. And I never knew this like specifically happened, or I didn't recall it happening. But it says here the Nintendo World Championships have undergone a name change to show that there's much more to this traveling showcase of Nintendo Mania than the competition. And
that hurts
me.
That hurts me for you to read that. Because I wondered as a kid what happened to this. Like I was like, I thought, and I didn't look it up, but I thought there was like 89 World Championships and 1990 World Championships, and it's like, what happened? But I hate this because it gets turned into just those type of things that show. Like you probably worked them when we were back acting in New York as well, where it's like a big convention thing where you're just meant to be selling stuff, and there's a little competition going on where people are going to win a couple $100,000 over here in the corner, but mainly it's about showcasing all this stuff so we can sell you. And it's like, man, the competitor in me wants to put the competition front and center, but I recognize what is happening here.
Yep, I totally agree, man. Yeah, so
don't relegate the competitors to the corner, man. Don't put baby in a corner.
Yeah. Yep. No, that's a fucking bummer. They have a bunch of pictures in here of these events, and I look at these, man. I cannot fucking believe that I did not attend one of these. Like the more I think about it, the more I consider the fact that my whole life is a sham as a result of that. That the childhood me did not fight harder to go partake in one of these. Makes me feel like a fucking fraud.
It'd be easier if you lived in like a big populous city where it was naturally.
Yeah, I told you, man. I was not far from Cleveland. They did one in Cleveland. I'm 30 minutes from Cleveland. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I could have. If I just would have known, I guess it's maybe just I have to blame it on a lack of knowledge. But it's a bummer. The pictures look like a fucking blast, and I would love to have partook.
Yep.
Now we get Pack Watch to see what's coming down the pipe in the fall and beyond. We have Capcom announcements, Street Fighter 2010, The Final Fight, Little Nemo, The Dream Master, and Destiny of an Emperor. And those are all mouthfuls for starters. But Street Fighter is a side-scrolling action platformer hitting in September that is absolutely from the fighting game Street Fighter universe, and I've never fucking heard of it. So that's interesting. And Little Nemo, I'm familiar with, and despite the kitty vibes, I believe it to be well revered, if I recall correctly. Game. Yeah, it gets. I don't know. I don't think it gets a cover when it hits, but it definitely gets a big feature. I recall in an
big spread
issue. So yeah. So there's that, and then there's Destiny of an Emperor, and this is touted as an RPG that mashes up Dragon Warrior and Nubunga's Ambition. Or fuck, man. I can't do it. I want to say Nubunga, but it's
Nobunga's.
Nobunaga's Ambition.
I've always called it Nobunga's of it.
Yeah, me too. Right. Yeah. Yep. Anyhow, I'm unfamiliar, but I'm fucking listening to that description for sure. I like those two games as standalone concepts, so the idea of jamming them into a box together appeals to me theoretically. And then Rare has some shit here, a game called Solar Jetman on the horizon. Do you know anything about that game, Jay?
It only sounds vaguely familiar, like it might have been one of those rentals that I'd never heard about and it just came home one day, but I couldn't tell you anything about it.
Okay. This game is fucking dope, Jay. It is fucking really good.
Really?
I own it. Jab had it when we were kids, and I will railroad us into a game up on this one day or another, I promise you.
All right.
Yeah, it's a very, very, very cool game. Also teasing an ultra release of Skater Die 2 here, which they dubbed Double Dragon on roller skates. It may be, I don't know, maybe the worst possible one of those Hollywood things I've ever heard in my life. Double Dragon on roller skates. And, I mean, it makes sense based on what they describe it as. It's apparently a roller derby themed side-scrolling beat 'em up. Okay. Okay. But probably not good, considering I have no recall of it whatsoever. The Gossip Tidbits mentioned Taxan is hammering on a G.I. Joe game for all you real American heroes out there. So that's kind of exciting. And those did end up turning out to be not bad games. Although there were a couple of them, or maybe even 3 of them. So that's cool. And then we have back issues available now, which arouses me sexually, and it takes all the willpower in my being to not open my eBay app every time I see these. And that bridges us to the next issue preview, where we are once again reminded a Ninja Gaiden 2 strategy guide will be the next thing hitting our mailbox. After that, though, the September-October issue will highlight Mission Impossible, Maniac Mansion, and the last installment of the Final Fantasy Treasure Quest. Do you think, just a prediction, Jay, will we be finished with our side quest by then? Because we're going to do.
I think so. I think so. Yeah, actually.
I think
timing
so too,
wise, maybe it may be close, but
right.
I would guess.
I'm guessing,
if I could hazard a guess.
Based on what I'm going to predict, first of all, that we have 2 more side quests episodes after this next one.
Okay.
Just by the way I think it's going to work out structure wise, so we'll have 2 more. So yeah, you got to figure we got. We're going to do our game up. We're going to bounce back. Actually, I'm not going to say this. I'm not going to say anything more, and I'm going to say we will definitely be done with the side quest by the time we hit that issue. Anyhow,
right.
Howie's letter is here too, and he's using the 2 years of publication milestone to try to sell us back issues of the mag. He assures us they're now running in low supply and are sure to be collector's items. And I read that sentence, and even though immediately I'm trying to shit on the fact that he's just trying to fucking turn it into money, but it did immediately sink me into a hole of depression when I thought that if he'd have told me in 1990, or if I'd have read this and really internalized it in 1990, to not throw these away, you fucking idiot asshole dipshit, because I can picture them in the white hefty cinch sack on my bedroom floor that I would chuck them into the trash via.
When it comes to bagging your garbage, there's a best way.
Hefty cinch sack.
And a second best way. A best way to close them.
Hefty cinch sack.
And a second best way. A best way to open them up. And a second best. 'Cause there's a hefty cinch sack. And there's all the rest.
Hefty cinch sack.
Why settle for second best when it could be a cinch?
It really bums me out that I can picture I can picture them on the bedroom floor. I can picture the whole thing happening, just literally just the whole stack of them just going into the trash bag. Like why? Why did I do that? Why? Why did I not view them as something to retain? I just cannot come up with.
Oh,
I sold a lot of the NES shit, but anything I didn't sell went to my uncle's. And he had the NES cache. I could have just put that shit there. I kept all my Dungeons and Dragons books. I kept all God knows how many other collectible type things. I don't know. I think it's like a commentary on because like I said, I also sold Nintendo games, traded them in for other system stuff. I think it so much speaks to how infantile the industry was and how
oh yeah,
the lack of understanding for the value. Simply the value.
Can you imagine having that? Like, I'm looking at the July-August 88 issue with, like, the claymation Mario 2 style thing. Like,
dude.
Can you imagine having that, like, sealed, like, in great condition? Like, ugh.
Dude, because dicking around with the fucking Instagram account for this, like, I do a lot of, I'll sometimes just fire up the Nintendo Power and Sega Visions hashtags and just go through shit, and I got it, like, the Sega Visions one. It's a shorter run magazine and not as well revered, so not as collected in turn as much. So, like, I was going through those pictures yesterday thinking to myself, like, I bet I could get all these without too much money getting spent. So, like, I'm like, God, I don't want to do that. I don't want my life to be that way. I don't want to have that stuff. I don't want to do that. I can get all of those in digital files, and they're in a fucking hard drive, and I don't have to find a space for them. I don't do any of the shit. Like, if I just can push that urge down, I don't have to have any of that clutter in my life, and that's how I should be, but, like, super fucking, like, thinking about it, and, like, I found one guy who had, like, a massive pile of them, and he's like, cop these for $40 at something, like, this was like 2 or 3 years ago, and it's like, God damn it. I would love to have those magazines. We'll get there, though. We're gonna go through each one of them. Hopefully that'll satiate me. So, last thing in here before a new Power Fest featuring back cover is the Power Pole, and the grand prize for this one is a trip for 4 to Orlando, Florida to attend the Nintendo World Championship Finals. And also, you get a one-of-a-kind gold-plated Nintendo World Championship game cart featuring Super Mario Bros., Red Racer, and Tetris. So the cart they use in the competition, that is like, this is the cart. I didn't realize that they came. Man. Yeah, like, I knew about these, and I know, like, what their value is these days. I didn't know that they came from this specifically. That it was like a giveaway in the mag. Like, I knew it had something. I knew they came from the contest, but I didn't know it had anything to do with the giveaway in the mag in one of these Power Pole deals. So that was super fucking interesting to me. And historical recounts say there are actually 26 made total, not one, and that it basically would be because they have a secondary prize here where you give the fucking things away. So there's 26 of these in total. And can you fucking imagine, again, well, two things. Can you imagine, we were just talking about, like, the holding on to shit and, like, whatever, like, having that present day after having gotten it from this situation. Can you imagine having the foresight to have held on to it? But then conversely, can you think of the poor fuck that took it to Video Game Exchange and gave it away for, like, $3 right? Or some fucked up amount of money, like,
and somebody was just like,
well, the thing is, like, I bet there's also plenty of fucking Video Game Exchange counter guys and even just people who own the store who had that shit in inventory and then sold it again for like $7 or some shit, and it got back out into the wild via that. And yeah, before it became what it is value wise now, So yeah, there's probably a lot of that for sure. A lot of regrets, I guess, associated with those carts. Yeah, I just, fired up. What's it going for? There's one of these listed at $2 million on eBay right now. Yeah, if you want to go check your couch cushions, Jay, and we can maybe cop one of these. If you come up with $1 million, Jay, I'll come up with $1 million too. How about that?
I am not surprised because of the scarcity and because of what this was and the gold cartridge. Like, I just. Yep. Like, I was going to say a couple hundred thousand.
It's one of those, dude, it's one of those auctions, like, after having gone through my whole Josh Allen rookie phase, and seeing how, like, really, really paying attention to eBay hardcore for a while in a more recent context. There's, like, this phenomena, I would call it, where if you take something that has a big enough audience, a big enough, desirable audience for it, there are sellers out there that aren't paying, like, they're not putting the auction up, I think, with even intention of selling. It's like they're fine keeping it forever, you know what I mean?
They're flexing, just like, I got this.
Well, part of the flex, maybe that could be part of it, maybe, but also, like, they're not paying attention to the economics. They're putting a price tag on it that they don't expect anyone educated to ever buy. Mm-hmm. But there might be that dumb fuck out there. Like, I see this with a ton of the Josh Allen cards. They're like, if you're dumb enough to spend this money, if you're for whatever reason rich enough and you're out collecting these things and you have enough of an affinity for this underlying thing, that idiot might buy it, and, like, fuck it, I'll just put it up there and see, Mm-hmm. I don't expect it to ever get clicked on and ever get bought, but holy fuck if it does, dynamite. You know what I mean? Because, yeah, like, I don't think I don't think anyone is telling you, and I don't even remember what the grade for it was, but I don't think, whatever the grade was, I don't think anyone is telling you that it's worth $2 million, you know? That's like a vetted, credible, what do you call those? The fuck are those called? The things that, appraiser. I don't think any credible appraiser is calling it worth $2 million. But if someone's willing to pay $2 million, if someone's willing to pay $2 million, then it's worth $2 million. You know, like we had that old conversation about fucking just economy in general. Like, so yeah, it's interesting to me. Very, very, very fucking cool that this is here and this is how it went out into the world. And you know, I can't believe the thing is, like, so there's 26 here, and they all are accounted for essentially in this contest between the grand prize and the second prize winners. So like I can't believe they didn't do more. And I did the Googling around. Like it seems like that really is supposedly what it is. It's 26. There's not like some hidden cache of them somewhere as far as the number that are out in the wild that can be counted at any given time. So like I'm surprised that more didn't get made and they weren't used as like promotional items or some sort of something, you know, even internally, just like people who ran the contest who oversaw the manufacturing of them didn't like have one made for themselves. So there's a 27th one out there somewhere. You know what I mean? I'm just surprised that there's not a few more that didn't get made. So that's fun. And then there's 50 third placers that get a goofy Howie Model T. And they also list the 89 Power Award winners. And we have an Ohio recipient in here, Chris Kearns of Zanesville. And you bet your sweet ass I looked Chris up. But nothing doing on Face Shit or the Google Box. Sad emoji.
Title theme for Battle Chess, bringing us into our favorite section, the nominations. And I don't know, man, this is going to be a very interesting nomination time, I feel like.
Yeah, I think you went first actually last time. I want to say I feel like the Batman shit came out of me, I think, after you had posed yours. So I'll go first. The Dr. Mario is the first one.
Okay.
An entire game up on Dr. Mario. That's my first thing. Second thing, Captain Skyhawk. Telling you, Jay. I'm telling you. Once you get into it, I'm telling you, especially you. I know you're gonna like it. I know once you get going, you're gonna like it. I fucking know it.
Oh man,
I promise you'll fucking like it if you can once you get past that initial barrier.
All right, that's 2 crazy nominations. What's the third one?
I actually have 4 this time. I couldn't pare it down. So the third one is, let's throw your first spin, probably Mega Man, the first one.
The original.
Yep. So that would be an interesting turn back the clock, and we haven't done a situation where we've done a later game then went back further in the series, you know, so that's kind of an interesting thing. So there's that, and then the last one was Dragon Spirit, which you did enjoy, you said. So those are my 4. Those are my 4. What do you got?
Solstice, number 1. In no particular order. Solstice.
Okay.
Dragon Spirit, presenting the only overlap. Ninja Gaiden 2, and Adventures in the Magic Kingdom. So, very different list. Very different list.
Very different list. Yeah, no chance on that Capcom fucking shit. No way. The Disneyland shit. Yeah, okay, so Dragon Spirit's the overlap there, so I guess we got to address that first. It's good, and I'm sure we'd have fun. Yeah, man, I don't, you know, I like I said, it is... It's, I guess, okay, this is the way to say this. So, I remember fondly. So, there have been plenty of times that I have been like, oh, I'm just going to fire this up and play it. You know? Okay. And I feel like every time I do it, I get a little bit into it, and I'm like, I'm going to load another round. You know, like it's definitely not hook you and hold you. It's fucking incredible the whole time, incredible experience. And that's coming from a place where, again, I think my mind wants to, you know. So that could easily just be the wide array of options in life now.
Right.
Don't hold your attention enough, and if we force ourselves into a game episode, maybe clearly we don't have a choice. We keep playing it, so maybe it would still be enjoyable. But I don't know if it's good enough to really hold up for you, especially because you're not. Again, like I guess what I'm really trying to get at here is, without nostalgia, it may struggle. You may struggle later on, you know. So
fair. That's fair.
But I would not, if you were gonna really hardline us on it. I don't think I wouldn't talk you off of it. I'd go on that journey with you. So that's the overlap one. Yeah, Ninja Gaiden 2. I don't know why there was. I mean, what is my reason for it not being in my list? I think.
But I have so much nostalgia for it too. It's kind of the same thing where like I immediately turned it on and remembered all the stuff. Like I remember the cinematics. I remember the art. I remember how the movement works. And so I feel like maybe it'll be like that for me because I know I definitely didn't beat it, but it was tough. You know,
it's the one. I mean, that's the one that's the most well revered one in a franchise that is pretty much universally well revered. You know, the difficulty thing is present with the first one, but I don't think anyone, you know, really has terrible things to say about it. So I mean, yeah, it's like I don't have. You know, we had the first one. And I'm sure we played the second one, again, because I had that strategy guide, so there's just no way I never rented it or anything with that strategy guide in my collection. And that, you know, that's the next issue. So, you know, what we've said about, like, Mario, like, using these strategy guides we've talked about. We've held off on Mario 3 till that came out, and we just haven't gotten back to it yet. But, I mean, it's out. Yeah, I would say it's out now. So, you know, I don't have that excuse as to why I wouldn't have put it in my list. I don't know. I think it might have just been other selections that, you know, bumped it out. I'm sure maybe I did jot it down in the list that I eventually pared down to 4. So, you know, same thing. Like I don't have that nostalgia pull for it because I don't think I just had it enough exposure, but I know it's good and I'm sure I would enjoy it. And, you know, it is a mountain I want to conquer too, because it is supposedly the best one of a franchise that matters, you know, for the NES. So I want to play that. So I'm down with that too. But that one's not going to go away. Ninja Gaiden 2 will be around.
I do not need to play it right now. It's there.
Right. Yeah, it'll be around. So Dr. Mario, you hate it, and I don't know. Like it's we always talk about it. Of course, we'll figure it out. But like, what is the game?
What are we talking about?
Yeah, there's a ton of strategy, dude, and I'm telling you now, the head-to-head things would fucking be a blast. It might not warrant a game episode though. I don't know. Like it's as quintessential of a cornerstone as I view it to be for the system. It might not be worth a game episode. Maybe.
But you might need a game episode to get me to play it. So that's you are guaranteed that I'm gonna play for that.
Okay, that's a good way to put it.
Mega Man is good. I mean, Mega Man. I feel like I beat Mega Man 2, 3, like later ones. I'm like, I don't know if I beat Mega Man 1. Like, I feel like I may have even, because I own the Mega Man collection, those original ones on Xbox, I know I've played through and got to Dr. Wally's Castle on 1, but I don't know that I beat it.
Right,
like,
and I'd say right now,
times.
Yeah, I think
2 was better.
Yeah, I think it might have been before you were on the pod. I get into those. We see the things in the mag, and like they're just not happening for game episodes. So I'll pick them up, and like I don't think I'd even formulated the idea to call them Kill Quest yet. But I think I tried that with Mega Man, and I got all the way through the characters, and the Wily's Castle was brutal.
So tough.
Super brutal. So I don't think I beat it either, even when I tried to do that with that kind of like nose to the grindstone approach for the pod, kind of. So it is hard. And it is so much like that's the problem with Mega Man's is it's this, you know, it just gets more ridiculous and more ridiculous as you go down the line as far as what the boss skills are, boss attributes are, or whatever you call them. But it is the exact same thing. So, you know, the controls are the same. Like it's literally we be doing the same.
But it
the thing
gets
about
so
it
much better with 2 onward, though.
Agreed.
That's the thing,
Agreed.
you know?
But what I'm saying is like I don't even know if like the nuance of the gameplay, if we're not just literally, not literally, of course, but very close to recording the same episode.
That's fair.
You know what I
That's
mean?
very fair.
You know what I mean? Like I think we might literally, obviously, Fireman's different than fucking Snake Man, and like you have to bat him a little differently, and you're gonna want a different gun before you go to him than obviously the gun you had before you went to Snake Man. But like,
Yeah.
I don't know how different it is, and if we're not just recording the same episode. And I don't know, maybe you could say that about any of the franchises, kind of Mario 1 and Mario 3. I don't know though. I feel like there is
very
enough of
different.
a-
Very
yeah,
different.
Yeah,
Nope.
there's a very different. Yeah. So yeah, it's not the same thing. So yeah, I don't know. That might be a detractor that I hadn't thought of when I put it in the list. That's sitting here and really trying to dissect what's best to go next with or go with here. That might not be good for that reason. Captain Skyhawk, man, like I only played the one level, so maybe I'm wrong. But I'm telling you, like the thing, it's wild to me that I am the one with this on my list only because I feel like it's such a thing that you'd be like, no, man, like I'm telling like
I tried it a couple
yes,
times.
I
and
know
was
you don't
so
like shmups,
frustrated.
but it's good.
But
What is the exact amount of time you? Can you like give me an actual realistic quotation or quote
I don't know.
of how much time you dedicated on it?
maybe 10 minutes. I don't know. Not a whole lot. Enough to be like am I swooping down? I keep crashing into everything. That like every time the elevation goes up, I'm crashing unless I'm like, I don't know. It just, I don't know. I would say this, as much as neither of these games hit me at all, I'd be willing to look at freaking Dr. Mario and this stupid Skyhawk again and give it a fair try, I guess, because I recognize that there are multiple screenshots of multiple modes and things like that. There's more to it. I get that. So maybe very premature of me to say that, that it's so terrible, but
Right.
I'd be open. Ugh, I can't believe it.
Okay, so you make the call then between Dragon Spirit and Captain Skyhawk.
All right, let's go Captain Skyhawk. Because
Okay.
as much as Dragon Spirit, there's an overlap. I would hate to get to a situation later where I'm kind of like it's not keeping me. You know what I mean? Like I want to push
chore.
through. Yeah, I would hate to do
Right.
it.
Yeah. I think there's enough. Like I said, I mean, I think it's all good. But even if you let's say hypothetically that you do figure it out, you are able to beat those land mission levels and still hate them. Maybe say that happens. There's two completely different game modes outside of that I also think are good and I also think you'll enjoy. So just the chances of enjoying at least some of your gameplay experience for a game episode is higher, considerably higher, I think, with Captain Skyhawk. And again, like I said, this is a peer-reviewed opinion that is just, there was not a bad word said about it. Not a bad word said about
Fine.
it. All right, so yeah, Captain Skyhawk it is. Let's do Captain Skyhawk then. Cool.
All right.
Awesome. I think how about this? If you get into Captain Skyhawk and you decide that you were wrong about those land missions once you figure out the mechanics of them, then you owe me a head-to-head Dr. Mario
Fair enough.
matchup. Square off, I guess. A televised square off. A broadcast square off of Dr. Mario.
I like it. Let it be done.
Yep. If God forbid, like I said, if we get enough bugging about it, I'll do a whole tournament with listeners if we want. So, that I'm happy to combine those things. But
Baby
even if that
steps,
doesn't
baby
happen,
steps.
yeah,
We'll see.
even if that doesn't happen, I would like to pose that little wager. Word. Okay, so Captain Skyhawk next with a potential for a Dr. Mario mini side quest.
Wow.
You can.
Who would have thought?
You can. Well, actually, sorry. We. I can't believe I almost forgot this. So, Jay, could I interest you in a random rags next by chance, as far as MagUp goes?
Say more.
Okay. Game Player Strategy Guide to Nintendo Games, July, August '89 issue, the one I had as a kid. I think I sent it to you. I can send it to you if not. But yeah, we're talking. I guess the factors with which to determine your stance on this are. We're talking July, August '89. So we're literally going back one exact year from where we're at now, as far as the games we'll see. And yeah, this is the one. This is one of the ones that we are considering transitioning to once we finally do have to make that transition off GamePro once them and Sega Visions are being published by the same company. So it'll also give us a kind of like a real test run of what our other options are, and maybe between now and then we can also do a random rag on EGM or some other options. What's the other one I just saw too? God damn it, that we haven't talked about much. I can't think of what it is. There was another one I just saw recently. I was like, oh yeah, that was fucking everywhere too. And we haven't even spoken of that one. I saw it when I was looking at those Sega Vision magazines on fucking Instagram yesterday. I don't remember what it was, but yeah, there's another one too. So maybe we could like bump into these just one time on random rags between now and then. And like I said, this one I have much nostalgia for, so I've been wanting to do it, and I feel like we've been on a long run now of these bouncing back and forth between the three mags, and this will be just a nice break from all three of them, I think. Cool. All right, so we'll do that actually as our next mag episode after this Captain Skyhawk issue, or episode rather. And then the next issue after that in our timeline will be GamePro issue number 12. So subscribe to the pod on the platform provided whatever dumbest company that stirs up your pottery. Please rate and leave positive shit for the pod on that podcast platform of choice, or any other for that matter. The website is nyhentertainment.com/ISOHpod. You can email us directly at isohpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow the pod on Facebook and or Instagram at isohpod. Link to the YouTube gameplay videos playlist is in the show notes. And then there's the ISOH subreddit if you want to get down with us on Reddit. And we don't have a Patreon, but if you like giving money to things podcasters tell you to, and would like to do so at our direction, the Able Gamers Foundation creates custom gaming rigs for gamers with disabilities, and that's cool as fuck. ablegamers.org is where you can find them. Jay, what are your socials?
Gentleman JB without the second E. That's my gamer tag pretty much everywhere.
I am on Instagram at MyShiftKeyIsBroke. That's how you can find me on the Oculus as well. And then my Twitter is at Josh Folan. Okay, bye.
Bye.